It's the fifth day of the week. Friday is here. Welcome on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakwa, and as always, I'm in the company of Bernice Abubedu-Lanza, and we always love coming your way, sharing your space with you as we bring you the tidbits in Ghana from across the world. From wherever you are, thank you for joining. Now, coming up this morning, right after the news, we'll get into the news review. I'll be joined by Elton John Brobe. He is here with our team editor. He'll be joining me for that. And then, right after that, we'll get to sports. And that will feature Muftar Nabila Abdullahi. Now, it's prime take today. You know how we do it on Fridays. And he's going to be engaging the immediate past director of physical education and sports unit at the Ghana Education Service. We'll be bringing you tidbits on that. After which, as always, I'll be serving you my blunt thoughts. I'll give you the title of that later on the show, but I'm going to be talking about two crucial issues. The fight against Galamsey, the recent tussle between Professor Frimpong Boateng and, of course, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. And I'll also look at the mass exodus of not just our nurses, but our teachers as well, and where that leaves us as a country. All of that coming up this morning. And then we get into our big stories. And number one on the chopping board, we're going to be contemplating Atoforsen and Atuesian, I beg your pardon, and what has happened with the defunct Capital Bank. Now, he's been served with a 15-year jail sentence. The question is, what does he do from here? Where do the roads lead from here? We'll be bringing you that scoop as well on that latest High Court ruling and what that means for the defunct financial institution and its leader. Also from there, we're going to be contemplating this morning the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which has requested, actually, that Chief Justice Lordship, that the Chief Justice actually recuse and remove his Lordship Justice Eduward Twun. That is a petition that has been put before the Chief Justice, and the question is, will it be granted? The OSP has given certain grounds for this, but will the Chief Justice pander to the OSP? And is the OSP justified in the claims that he is making? Well, we'll be contemplating that this morning as well. All of this on the table for discussion. So stick and stay with us. We'll be serving you that. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. So share your thoughts with us in the course of the show, the live stream, and at the tail end when we activate the phone lines. Be sure to give us a call. Let us know what is on your mind. On that note, let's settle for the news. Up next. Welcome to the news belt of the AM show. We get to our first story now, and the founder of defunct Capital Bank, William Atuesian, has been jailed 15 years for stealing over 90 million Ghana cedis belonging to the bank and for the roles he played in the collapse of that institution. He was charged with various offenses ranging from stealing to money laundering and pleaded guilty to all of the counts. Mr. Essien was supposed to have been sentenced in December 2022, but his judgment was held in abeyance following a settlement agreement he brokered between himself and the state under Section 35 of the Courts Act. Richard Kwedunyako was in court and came through with this report.
Mr. Essien pleaded guilty to 16 counts of stealing, conspiracy to steal, and money laundering in December 2022 and was asked to refund 90 million Ghana cedis he confessed to have stolen after entering into a plea bargain with the state under Section 35 of the Court Act. Under the agreement, Mr. Essien was supposed to pay the 90 million Ghana cedis in 3 tranches, but he defaulted on the payment, giving the state no other option but to file a motion for the sentence to be handed him. Mr. Essien first paid 30 million of the amount on December 1, 2022, and per the agreement as adopted by the court, was ordered to pay the remaining 60 million in 3 installments, with the first installment on or before April 28, 2023, the second on or before August 31, 2023, and the last installment on or before December 15, 2023. In court on Thursday, Mr. Essien's lawyers pleaded for more time to enable him to pay the outstanding amount of money, but the state moved a motion for a custodial sentence to be given him after he breached the agreement. The motion was opposed by Mr. Essien's lawyers, who grounded their argument on the fact that Mr. Essien, during the period, had exhibited utmost good faith by paying 1/3 of the amount, being 37 million Ghana cedis, and if given more time, he will be able to pay the outstanding amounts. And moreover, Mr. Essien has some property in and outside the country that he is putting up for sale to enable him pay. The presiding judge, Justice Dapaah, agreed with the state, and in handing Mr. Essien the sentence, said he had taken into consideration all the pleas by his lawyers and sentenced him on each count. The sentence for the various counts in totality was 95 years, but because Mr. Essien is expected to serve the sentence concurrently, he is to serve the highest sentence, which is 15 years. From the court complex, my name is Richard Kwejenyakon for joining you.
Well, let's talk power and health now, as patients at the Wa Municipal Hospital in the Upper West region have been left confused and helpless following the disconnection of power to the hospital by the VRA and NETCO. The hospital for several years has defaulted in the payment of electricity bills to the power company and owed them over 6 million Ghana cedis. The disconnection on Thursday lasted for 3 days and therefore added to the woes of the patients. The worst affected areas were the neonatal intensive care and maternity units, where patients were left to battle for their lives as a result of the power cut. Joy News Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam now reports.
Healing and Revenue Protection Officer of VRA NETCO, Engineer Ben Mahama, laid bare the staggering amount of money owed to VRA NETCO by the over 70-year-old Wa Municipal Hospital.
If you look at the analysis, we have an average of about 160,000 cedis bill from June up to September. So we expect that they should have made some commitment towards paying. And we understand that government committed to bearing part of their bill. And to the extent that the directive to pay their bills should take effect from June 2023, there should have been some concrete commitment from their end so that we'll be able to go forward with this exercise.
The Wa Municipal Hospital is the second largest consumer of power from the company after the Upper West Regional Hospital.
The last engagement we did was last Tuesday, okay, and they promised to raise some check and pay a day before yesterday. That's on Tuesday as well. We gave them 2 days grace periods. Today is Thursday. We came, same story. They've not even sat as management to even decide on how much to pay.
Prior to the disconnection of the power, senior managers of the VRA NETCO first notified the administrator of the hospital, Samson Abu, on their mission at the hospital, and the latter pleaded with them to give them more time to enable them to pay.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
All of us will collapse.
Exactly.
We collapse, we also collapse.
But yes, but we are saying that, pleading, not just saying, but we are pleading that at least you give us the benefit of the doubt. Monday is not too far. And once our spending officer, who is the medical director, is indisposed. So if he were around, your presence here today would have solved a problem as well.
The hospital claims that the National Health Insurance Authority has owed them close to a year of unpaid claims, which is part of the reasons they are unable to pay the huge bills. The VRA NETCO did not heed to that and went on with the disconnection. Few minutes after that, the Wa Municipal Director of Health Services, Alex Bapula, bumped into the scene and repeated same plea, but they wouldn't rescind their decision. It, however, did not take long before the effect of the power outage began to bite at the hospital. Patients got confused, stranded, and helpless.
My woman is delivered and the child is to be put in an incubator. And now there is light off. We are now confused. We just don't know what to do. So many people are crying. The light is affecting all the sick people in the hospital. So they have to do something.
My wife has been admitted here for the past 1 week. We're asked to go and remove our blood for them to infusion, for them to come and fix her. So we went to the lab and the lights was off. So they told us that the VRA came and disconnected the lights. So right now we don't know what to do.
Worst among them is the neonatal intensive care unit, where 6 babies are on the incubators.
Unfortunately, these babies are the ones using the oxygen, 2 babies. So the concentrator, power is off, concentrator can work. So we are there.
So do you have any fears that you may lose a baby?
Of course. If you don't get medical oxygen, the oxygen will not come. We have the fear that you can lose a baby because if the SPO2 is dropping now and there's no oxygen to give direct, so you will lose the baby. So if you are actually referring, how long will you be? The more organizing means to come and all those things. The time you realize the baby is gone.
Adjacent to the NECU is the kangaroo unit, where 2 babies are located.
They are joining these babies, so they are doing phototherapy. But unfortunately, because of the lights out, we can't use the phototherapy on the baby. So the babies are still like waiting till when the lights will be in, so that we will continue with the phototherapy.
The absence of lights in this facility has brought service at the facility to a halt. Patients are stranded, nurses and medical officers cannot work anymore, and even we're also using the light of our mobile phone to be able to capture some of the things here for you. So they are appealing to the government to come to their aid. The immediate option for the hospital for now, if they can't raise the required money, is to turn to this standby generator, who they will need 2 drums of diesel, valued a little over 6,000 Ghana cedis, to run it for a day. Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, in our final story, to assist parents in Ghana make an informed choice in their children's education, Mark Brooks Education, in partnership with the Department for International Trade, held the 5th edition of the UK Boarding School Exhibition to showcase some of the finest boarding schools in the United Kingdom. There's more in this report.
A delegation of principals and registrars from 9 leading boarding schools in the UK met with families at the UK Boarding School Week Fair, which took place at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra. The 9 selected schools that participated in the exhibition included a range of different institutions, from all girls to co-educational schools. The director of Mark Brooks Education, Mark Brooks, explained that the 9 schools were chosen because they have a deep understanding and a commitment to assisting West African students.
Yes, we've got 9 schools here at UK Boarding Schools Week, and we're very selective about the schools that we accept who want to take part. And the biggest criteria is that they understand West African children, they come to West Africa with us, and they're committed to helping West African children to achieve their full potential. So it's a partnership between West Africa and the UK, and we're very selective, and we've got 9 top schools here with us today. And in the UK boarding schools, what happens is the children from West Africa thrive and achieve their full potential. And a lot of the schools here, of the 9 top boarding schools here, would say that their head boy or head girl has often been from West Africa or Ghana itself. And so it's a place where they achieve their full potential.
Head of External Relations at the Ghana UK Chamber of Commerce, AFIBA, emphasized that the initiative will be beneficial to the country, as students will use the knowledge gained to contribute to national development.
We understand the benefits of good education, and while we know that there's good schools in Ghana, having this partnership with Mark Brooks gives us the chance to give the general public the opportunity to experience the good education in the UK as well. And on top of that, he and his collaborators also work hard to bring the diaspora back to Ghana. So while people would see it as taking away the youth and taking them away from Ghana to help build a better Ghana, he is also focused on bringing them back into the country and then building the country to the standard that we all hoped it would be.
Some exhibiting schools spoke with Joy News.
Matthews, and I'm headmistress at Truro High School for Girls. So we're a girls-only school. We're award-winning. So we are the School of the Year in the Southwest for girls, and we're in the Fortune list of the top boarding schools in the world. But that's not what drives us. It's the happiness of the students. And for us, we want the girls to be ambitious for themselves, ambitious for the world, ambitious for their friends and their families. And so it's about making sure that we give them the access to opportunities that will allow them to grow and develop and thrive.
My name is Gareth Collier. I'm the Director of Cardiff Sixth Form Colleges in Cardiff and Cambridge in the United Kingdom. Okay, so my school is widely recognised as the highest achieving A-level school in the United Kingdom. We've topped the academic league tables for the last 12 years, and our students are highly aspirational, going on to top courses in top universities in the UK, in America, Europe and Hong Kong. So we have some wonderful Ghanaian students coming to join us. In fact, I've just been talking about two of my Ghanaian heroes at the moment. One who's gone on to study neuroscience in Exeter University, and one who's studying biomedical science in the University College of London. Both fantastic girls, my most recent Ghanaians.
The UK boarding school has been operating in Ghana for 5 years. For Joy News, Esther Nkrumah's report.
And that's how we cap off the news bell. But stay with us. Up next, we get the newspapers and let you know what is in them. The news review up next. Welcome back. Time to get into the newspapers, and I have my colleague here in the studio. I'll be introducing him shortly if you didn't catch the start of the show. But this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and here's what they're offering you. It's a Friday. You know what? I know someone who is going through quite an ordeal when it comes to his prostate, and I'll be shooting that question to my colleague in the studio. Do you know what the state of your prostate is? When was the last time you checked? Well, if you've not been checking, something could take you by surprise. If you're a woman and your fertility status is not something you've ever checked, you ought to. Nowadays, a lot of people go down with fibroids, have to have expensive procedures and all of that. And some end up taking concoctions they don't need. That is why I'm proffering for you this morning, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Make your way to them. They have branches dotted across the country. That's the good thing. Here in Accra, it's Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronomo, Abwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswe and Siama and Zama. Their call lines 0244 867068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, and I have here with me Elton John Bobe, editor. Should I say counterpart extraordinaire? He's nodding in his Charlie Fabum. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You know one thing I like about you?
Tell me.
The way you tend to rock the African prince, not just on Fridays.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. You represent. I think the Ghana Investment Promotion Center should approach you for some ambassadorial roles.
Domestication is good, you know.
Oh, it is. It is. And Nkrumah started on that path.
Of course.
So that you would eat Ghana, dress Ghana, and then it appears we lost our way.
And if you want to look at neighboring Nigeria, you know, they have been so consistent with that.
Look at their leaders.
I mean, everybody in their traditional wear is what you will see everywhere.
Anyway,
suit and tie has no place in there.
You know, that suit and tie reminds me of Stoneboy's song.
Stoneboy,
yeah. Anyway, so it's a new morning. I don't know for you there have been so many things that have happened this week, from Professor Frimpong Boateng and his tussle with the AG, something I'll be discussing in my blunt thoughts. Then there's also been the incidents in some parts of the Volta region post the spillage of the Akosombo Dam, the OSP collaborating with the FBI. I don't know, but do you have any thoughts you'd like to share on any of those, any story at all before we get into the papers?
Well, it's been a news week. I mean, like you put
and
it.
Then Cassio, not Cassio. I keep confusing Atufosin with
Atuesian. 15 years.
15 years.
I don't know whether he went to court yesterday thinking that he was over.
He was going to.
That's what I always say to people. When politicians are hauled before the court, first day you find people follow them. Second day, and then the other way you see that
the numbers reduce.
One day you go and you won't come back home, and nobody will follow you to the prison.
But he's not a politician.
Yes, no.
He dabbled in some financial mischief. Let me just leave it at that. I'll leave the courts to use the right terms, and it's ended him here.
So it's been very interesting. But the news for me this week has been the catastrophe, if you like, in the Volta region, where VRA decision to spill water from the Akonsombo Dam because of danger it is posing to the dam itself has resulted in virtually destroying, communities in the Volta. Now it's been extended to even part of the eastern region where people are struggling to live in their homes. Some have left.
No, some have been forced to get out of their homes,
buildings collapsed,
or evicted,
and all these people. But my worry, yesterday we were told by the deputy CEO of the VRA that they had a simulation exercise the months before this spillage, and I'm told one of our colleagues, Papa named Michael Ashali, was at this simulation exercise where they took some community members, the district assemblies, and some of the MPs through what we are experiencing. So
what do we expect?
Question is, what kind of education did they give the people who are now complaining about the fact that little education was done ahead of the spillage? The reason why we are encountering what is before our very eyes, and whether or not the simulation exercise was geared towards addressing what is happening now. Whether they had this stress test, and whether or not whatever they had put in place is working. If it's not working, clearly somebody.
But you see, I don't get certain things. We know in some of those areas, of course, there's the Keta Sea Defense Project, which has never really taken off. And those in that catchment area who are affected. I remember the last time I went by, you look at the swell of the water and you just get scared. Then there was the recent incident up north where the Bui Power Authority came and said it hadn't spilled, yet that place was constantly flooded. And now this. And you ask yourself, I don't know. It's just disastrous. And I heard in recent times that there are going to be further
in fact, they're going to do so
spillages.
For the next 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks. The fear is that if they don't do it, the Akonsombo Dam itself will be in danger.
So dam, and of course we know how pivotal it is to our national life versus the people. But look at what the people are going through. And there are going to be further spillages. That incident just makes me...
My issue really is that, why do we always have to spill the water? Shouldn't we rather
find alternative ways of using it?
Where we'll store the water. Some few years ago, we had an issue with Akonsombo. Because the water level had gone to a level where it was unable to turn the turbines to produce electricity for us.
I remember very well.
Exactly.
This is about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
And from those who have worked with the Akonsombo Dam, the engineers tell us that it is a recurring matter. So every 10 years, we want to find a situation where the water level will go down to an extent that the turbines will not be in a position to produce the 800 megawatts that we need. Now we have so much we don't need. We are spilling it, destroying people's lives in the process. Why don't we put together a reservoir to conserve the water? So in times where the water level at the coast of down is at a level where it cannot produce power, then the reservoir can help shore up the water. It doesn't look like the engineering has gone into that thinking. That's the
I was just about to say that, look, our engineers, and the VRA has probably the most engineers
in
any institution.
90% of the workforce are engineers.
Yet,
we can do something about it. And innocent people are suffering. The works, and the sad aspect is that there will be no compensation for those who've had their houses, their property destroyed in the process.
In the one up north, someone was actually saying that, well, they should move from their homes and let them out to business people who come there seasonally, because it's not, people can't just up and leave like that and go where? That's the question.
You've not provided where. If they say, okay, your homes are going to be destroyed, we have put up a temporary, community for you to live there. There's nothing like that. When they say move to higher lands, to go and stay where? The society has not provided for these things. The assemblies have not provided for these things. So when they say move, you're on your own.
And right before we get into the papers, that even reminds me, the McCarthy Hill, Weija, some parts of Kasua area. Yes. I'm not even talking about the spillages there from the Weija Dam that sometimes create. I'm talking about the fact that some of them, the rock faces, and then again, that area is on a fault line.
Yeah.
it's earthquake prone. Actually, some of those areas, people shouldn't even be staying there.
Yeah.
And God forbid, I always, whenever I use that stretch, my mind just, for those who stay there, like my heart is always in my mouth. Because if something happened, look at Turkey recently.
Yeah.
Look at, is it Morocco recently? We don't have any experience in dealing with such things. So if God forbid that happens, perish the thought.
That people are living upstairs, others are doing quarry business down there, destroying the stones, winning sand in the process.
This country is...
The assembly has won, EPA has won, people are still putting up structures there. I know Asamoah has a
Some engineers have told him in the past that, look, that thing, but hey.
So clearly we have, I don't know whether it's leadership failure that is...
People shouldn't have the option. Listen, if there's risks to life, people shouldn't even have the option of going to build there.
No.
It shouldn't be possible. No. It should be this area, you don't go there. So it's a sheer, lack of the authorities cracking the whip. But let's get into the papers. I have the Daily Guide and the Ghanaian Times. What do you have?
I have the Daily Graphic and the Finder.
Okay, let's check out the stories.
There appears to be the same stories in all the papers because clearly all of them are following the same beat. So dam spillage wreaks havoc. That's what we're talking about. Houses, farms submerged in voter origination, economic activities grounded. And look at the number of people who are sitting there. Clearly, they don't even know when they're...
Children, babies.
Yes, they have no place to sleep. Their assembly has not provided for. It's like they didn't know that this was going to happen. They knew because months before the spillage, they had been taken through education and then the warnings and everything. Yes, we waited for this to happen. Now you have hundreds, thousands of people left homeless with their children. How they're going to feed their children, where they're going to sleep, they've been left on their own. This is absolutely...
Education will be truncated. For some of them, education will be truncated for a while.
Yes.
Some may never return to school after... For such people, it's crucial because for someone, on the back of this, maybe the school itself has got flooded or something, they may never return to school. That interest may never be there. That's human capital lost.
It is very sad, and I'm so disappointed with the way we are managing this thing. It's like business as usual. It's like it's happening. So what? You have to take care of yourself whichever way you can. This is not leadership at play, and I think that the VRA, the district assemblies, must do more to address this matter than just giving reasons why they'll have to continue to spill. Yeah, you will spill, but then to what extent?
Yeah.
Right, so that is a story on the front page of the graphic. It has pictures. We have houses. The water level almost, it's at a level where, to the extent that even the power plant has
they had to turn it off.
They had to turn it off
because otherwise, and even I'm sure by the time they go and check, I remember there was this case. Was it in the Western region? Last time there were some rains, and it definitely would compromise the equipment.
Yes.
I mean, the water, if it goes into certain parts, it means... Yes. And I remember back then, the ECG was talking about each component costing about $1 million and stuff like that. Because this is equipment that is...
Absolutely.
So
Benjamin.
Hilton, it doesn't make any sense. We have equipment that is this expensive. We know that there will be spillages.
Yeah.
We know that there will be flooding, especially because of our system. And we can't contain and find ways of doing this. And even maybe, I don't know whether it's going to be some perimeter for such... installations, ECG installations, so that then we have a vicious cycle of, in Siakum, I say, and we are going to, when we don't even have the money.
We don't even have the money, and that's actually the sad part. So, like I was saying earlier on.
So do you know what this means? It may condemn some people moving forward.
Of course.
To power outages, power cuts, because now you can't turn on the transformer or whatever it is.
It's unacceptable. In fact, every step of the way you will find failure. And you can clearly attribute it to somebody whose responsibility was to ensure that we don't get here. And they knew. It's not that it just happened by accident. Something that they have planned for months before.
Reminds me of the Canadian who used to bet that every year Accra would get flooded.
Yeah.
They had to stop the bet because till today he would have been winning.
Of course. So the other big story in the paper is this one. So let me just, in fact, the judge's ruling is quite interesting. So the founder of the defunct Capital Bank, William Atuesiam, has been sentenced to 15 years imprisonment with hard labor, right, by the Accra High Court for stealing. They put it bluntly, stealing over 90 million of the bank's money. And these are depositors' money. Asian, now becomes the first banking executive to serve a jail term following the massive banking sector cleanup in 2017 that led to the collapse of the 7 indigenous banks, including Capital Bank. In the ruling, the court presided over by Justice Eduward Twun held that ASEAN exploited Capital Bank to its advantage and dissipated the funds of the bank without taking into consideration the depositors of the bank. The convict demonstrated sheer greed in his desire to own another bank beside Capital Bank Limited and left no stone unturned to subterfuge and deceit with some criminal intent to set up sovereign bank. Being in a position of trust, he was suspected to have demonstrated a sense of responsibility and true fidelity. He had no cause whatsoever to steal such gargantuan sum of money. These are the words of the presiding judge, Justice Eduward Twun, who has now put into the cooler Mr. Atuwesian for the next 15 years.
Custodial sentence, so 15 years. And it's quite an interesting trend. I think he's been given a long rope, a pretty long rope. And at a point, even the AG, you know.
I mean, I think for three times that he went to court, he always had an excuse why he was unable to provide the money to pay. And then the court would give another time. The court gave another time. The court gave another time. So even I'm told by our court correspondents that even yesterday in court, he said he has this property around the Spinters Road. He's in the process of selling.
He's saying he has properties in Ghana and outside of Ghana.
Yes.
I'm asking myself, you knew this was knocking on your door. Why didn't you get... It's like a cat and mouse game. That
you had already pleaded guilty in this matter. And if you have a property worth $10 million, then you have to pay 90 million. And you didn't do anything ahead of that. So clearly...
So now he's paid about a third of it.
Yes. And the thing is
left up with about 2/3 of it. And his lawyers were contesting that he had shown goodwill. But the point is that he had certain payments to meet at certain deadlines.
Yes.
And that was the whole point. And, you know, he would have been in the cooler earlier had it not been some petitioning from his lawyers.
But the thing about the other aspect is that beyond the custodial sentence, he still has to pay some amount of money in this regard. Do you see that justice is finally being served in relation to the banking sector?
It's going to be difficult to not sound acerbic, like biting on, because look, no one wants to do jail time.
Yeah.
Especially not in Ghana's jails. Let's face it.
The conditions alone
you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. That's a point to be separated. With sometimes in law, they look at even your circumstances. With the sort of life he probably would have lived, this is going to be excruciatingly painful for him.
Yeah.
This experience, it's basically going to be from hero to zero,
from
grace to
100
grass.
to 0. Yeah.
And let's not also forget, it's sometimes not even the jail time. It's about your credibility and what it does to it. So in your sector, where you operate, it's like the former PPA boss. Okay.
Yeah.
So now in procurement, you'll be looked at with a certain. You may actually never be able to go into that area again based on the blot that has been put on your career. So that in itself even sends him out of what he's done his whole life. But then you also look at the fact that these people have engaged in criminal activities, criminality, which has caused the state a lot of damage by way of cost.
Yeah. And thousands
it can't be. People have lost their jobs.
Yeah, and then their money as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the law is the law. And when its long arms reach you, you must pay the piper. Yeah. So I would say that in this instance. And for me, look at, there have been other people. I know there's also someone else, I think, tied to this case that... there are others tied to this particular case. I don't know what has happened with them.
I know that along the line, some of them who were suspect in this matter were turned into as witness for the prosecution.
Yeah, that happened.
So clearly, their charges were dropped, and now they became witnesses. They testified.
Well, I don't know about dropped, because in some instances there's a plea bargain, and then maybe you may get whatever term or hefty sum that may have been slapped on you reduced. But hey, look, this is what it's come to. I think Atuwesian has had
enough time to redeem himself, and clearly,
it's just that the amount involved was also
quite huge.
It's a lot of money.
Yes, a lot of money. But again, it also goes to make the point about the the amount of money he's alleged to have stolen. Now, now we can't even do allegation because the court has confirmed that he stole the money.
Yeah. So
90 million. But I don't understand. You say that you have property worth $10 million.
Right.
And you are just. You have guilt.
So why wait till the noose is around your neck?
It makes no sense for me, to be very honest.
Charlie. Well, but I honestly, while I know that he's done a lot of damage, and you know, sometimes the consequences, your family and stuff.
Yeah, the wife was in court yesterday. And then when the sentence was handed down, I mean, everything changed.
You can't help but feel sorry for the family.
Yeah, you know, your term is bad. So ECOWAS needs support to flush out those who are thinking of destabilizing West Africa. President Akufo-Addo says that the same support the US is providing Ukraine, ECOWAS needs same support to deal with.
What happened to the ECOWAS, plan to invade Niger?
It was just mere talk, no action. There was mere talk, no action.
Elton, you are not one of the chiefs of defense staff. You are not one of the defense ministers. You are not one of the.
They said this a long time ago. They said they were going to invade. Russia made some pronouncement. They followed up with action. Israel was attacked by Hamas. They are also doing what they have to do to protect themselves in the Middle East, which I think that there should be some talks to do because of the humanitarian crisis that is beginning to emerge. ECOWAS. When Mali went on this road, what did they say? When Burkina Faso went on, what did they say?
In fact, there was Guinea.
Yes, what did they say? Yeah. So these are just a clap for some old men who come around, drink wine, make pronouncements, and then they go to sleep.
I don't know. That may sound a bit, but I think maybe Bola Tinubu may be preoccupied with dealing with his own internal Chicago University issues. But I saw an article on the BBC in recent times on that. I have seen footage. I've watched footage from Nigerian television. I've listened to the lawyer for Atiku and others, and the claims they've made. I was almost convinced, but then the BBC article also points to certain discrepancies, which points to the fact that Bola Tinubu actually did graduate, but there are some discrepancies, but they don't invalidate his bits. Charlie, African leadership or African misleadership is so interesting. It's so interesting. But on the international front, don't you have anything from the Daily Graphic? So I think it's usually on page 5.
Yes. So on page 5, outbreak of diphtheria kills 600 in Nigeria. Wow. And wife of deposed President Ali Bongo detained. The son as well. Malawi issues heat wave warning as temperature set to soar. 8 UN peacekeepers detained in Congo. But then the biggest thing happening in Africa now is that the IMF, for the first time in 50 years, decided that they will hold the annual general. So it's ongoing. and the front page, you have a picture of our own finance minister.
That's the World Bank
in a very hearty embrace.
With the agency here.
So for Italy's government delegation to IMF World Bank annual meeting, this is taking place in Africa for the first time in 50 years in Morocco. Ahead of we looking forward to another $600 million from the IMF.
When you mentioned Ali Bongo, do you know what came to mind? No. Make some noise. When the people were talking about telcos, internet access and stuff, that one, the day you didn't hear. Bad leadership, economy, you didn't hear. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, health insurance scheme hits 17.2 million membership. Should we say yay? But I've also heard about the challenges of even using your health insurance. Charlie, the stories I get to hear are not good. They are not good. I have not used mine thanks to our own internal insurance scheme. I don't get to. But people come to me, and even when you use it, what you get, like they ask themselves, is it worth it?
Because again, the hospitals, the claim is that it takes so long for them to get the claims back from the NHS. So they are more interested in the cash and carry rather than you presenting a card to them. And the thing is also that health insurance say that the premium we are paying is not so much, so there's very little they can do. So it exists in name, but in terms of practice, it's difficult to get quality. But I know that they are doing so much. I think
they are.
I think that
and what's his name?
Okoboy.
Okoboy, Dr. Okoboy.
I think that left to them, government capping is also another issue that is really hurting them. I think that
now we are even talking of dialysis. Offer something. I think the cancers recently, the child cancers, they have
included
a fight that even I had participated in.
But this morning, the health minister told us that a paper has been presented to cabinet. The expectations that cabinet will consider it. And if there is agreement at the cabinet level, dialysis treatment may be included in the ailments captured under the National Health Insurance Scheme. So let's just keep our...
Let's just see how it goes. But it's heartwarming that we have 17.2 million people on board. That definitely is a good thing.
In the UK, the NHS is one of the most profitable, most important entities.
It is crucial to the lives of people in the UK.
Little thing about the NHIS becomes a national issue, because of the implication it will have on people if there should be any glitch with the operations of the NHS.
Which is also why part of what I'm going to be talking about this morning in my blunt thoughts, the exodus of some of our professionals, nurses, teachers, and all of that. But the nurses, I think this year alone, or is it last year, 10,000 of our teachers, just to the UK, not even to other parts of, no, just to the UK. So it also tells you about what impact all of this is having. And speaking about the NHIS, they want it to be so optimal in performance that they will do what they are doing, get nurses, get other professionals. I have a friend doctor who's up and left. It is what it is.
The education ministry said they produce 30,000, so if 10,000 should leave, it's no problem for them. Yeah, that's what they've told us. They said they produce 30,000 teachers annually.
So how come we go to, during the COVID era, I went to some public hospitals there. Bro, I will not share, because that was when I realized that you can get to, and no doctor, and if you're not careful, you have to wait for another 4 hours for a doctor.
I'll give you a typical, I had an experience. I had to take a very close relative of mine to one of our leading hospitals. The conditions there were so bad. So I spoke to a doctor friend who said, if you have the resources to spend, I will recommend that you take this relative of yours to the University of Ghana Medical Center. And I'll tell you what, their service was
the service there is world class from what I have been told. I've never been there, but the cost.
Absolutely. But then you are looking at the person getting better. If you have the resources to spend, I chose that one. Because the conditions, there was not even a bed for the person to be administered. So therefore, whilst we got to the UGMs, everything had been laid out perfectly. And then, I think that why should, if we have...
So now it's about resources. If you have the money,
you
will get quality healthcare. And if you don't, you stand the risk of dying. Teresa Kufuor's legacy worth celebrating. Whenever I see these stories, I saw in recent times former President Kufuor with all these people coming to, a trail of people coming to commiserate with him. And it's really so sad that we've lost Mama Teresa. She was just this very, calm person. She's one of those fine ones in the Fourth Republic. She's been very laid back, but still making her impact. Akosombo Dam spillage, 7 districts hit by floods, farmlands, houses, other properties affected in Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta regions. And then this one, I want to read it. There was that video. So Ghanaian community in Israel safe, Foreign Affairs Ministry assures. Let me just get to that story so you can go to your next newspaper. Okay, so on page 13, it says, the Ghanaian community in Israel is currently safe. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has assured. A statement issued by the ministry in Accra on Wednesday said the viral video of Ghanaians allegedly caught up in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas was not a true reflection of the situation. The statement urged the public to contact the Ghanaian embassy in Israel in the event of any concerns or emergencies related to Ghanaian citizens. Nowadays, fake news is becoming quite an issue, fake videos and all of it. And you've even seen, I think it's a good opportunity to share, the videos of people using Joy News journalists like me. Then they claim that there's this medication for diabetes. Do you know how many people have called me? And do you know how many high-ups in society have called me? Oh, Ben, is it true? I want to. And I'm like, no, don't dare. And it's good that we've put out stuff on Joy News on Facebook. But it's crazy where our world is going is AI deepfake.
Yes, deepfake. I understand it perfectly. We are not behind it. It's not us. We have put out a disclaimer, whoever is doing. And somebody was telling me that the number that was provided together with that video, you called that number, somebody here in Accra picked it
and said that he was ready to deliver the medicine to that person. So therefore, the police can do a lot more and arrest these individuals who are behind it.
Yeah.
But then again also, it's about why would people just listen to a promo or a campaign, or better so an advert, promoting the potency of a certain drug.
And the speed, it says in about 3 days and all of that.
Exactly.
But you see, I think we ought to pay attention. We ought to be really careful because we are in the age of artificial intelligence, deep fake, and so many evils.
Yeah.
If you look at the videos carefully, you would see that they put something black in the mouth of, sort of to distort. And you can tell that the voice has a little, it's a clone, but it's not exactly the same. There are telltale signs to look out for, else you may do something. And imagine someone getting such a drug, consuming it. Only God knows what is in there and what further damage you could do to
so the point I was trying to make is that, please, if you think that you are suffering from one ailment or the other, go to the hospital. They might have a thorough check on you. And then I'm sure the doctor will be able to prescribe the medicine that can better cure you. Not to just listen to radio, listen to be on the television, and then once you hear somebody promoting a drug, you don't
check, you don't cross-check, you just go.
Yeah, I think people should be more wiser in some of these things because you don't know what you're putting into your system and the damage that may be causing.
Just to highlight this before we go, as we've had our dialysis crisis campaign and all of that, the story was told of this person and someone was passing by claiming that, some concoction could resolve certain issues.
Yes.
The person bought it, took it. Next day, the person was there and now developed,
another issue.
Kidney problems. And look at how expensive it is. I get surprised. What you're putting inside you, people people don't really value their health. It's like you are prepared to drop anything into your stomach. You don't know how damaging that's going to cause. Some few days ago, I had a back pain. So there's a clinic around my area. I went there to complain about the back pain. So my thinking was that they were just going to prescribe some painkiller or some ointment for me to go and use. But this young doctor in the office, Dr. Asantua, very young lady, she said, no, pain, obviously, the first thing that will come to mind is that let me give you a painkiller for you to go and deal with it. But she took advantage to give me a thorough medical checkup at Medcare. And then, what I saw, about 3-page, review of my entire body. Part of it. And there are few ones I'm dealing with because until I went there, I didn't know. And I'd gone there with the hope that I would just be giving painkiller to go. Now it brought up a whole number
of things that I'm dealing with. So I'm grateful to her because she took advantage. She decided to do her work.
Yeah.
Now I got to know my health status, and that is what I think that people should do.
So sometimes you even think that it is something, but it's not that thing. It is something else that is.
It's not just enough to just walk into a pharmacy shop and say that I want this, I want that.
Yeah. Let's get into some other stories.
So the Finder has another big story that happened yesterday. OSP seeks to oust judge, accuses Justice Eduward Twun of prejudice. So yesterday, the OSP or lawyers for Madam Cecilia Dapaah, together with the OSP, they were in court, and the court had agreed to an abridgment of time. So yesterday, the OSP was going to move motion, justifying why the court should confirm the seizure and then the freezing order of Madam Cecilia Dapaah's bank account, and also to take her plea. In another matter, they have cited her for not declaring her income and property, and then also and then to start the process. But the judge read out a petition in court saying that the Chief Justice had been petitioned by the OSP, making some accusations that they think that the judge would not be fair in the matter, and for that matter, the Chief Justice should take steps to recuse the judge from further presiding on all the matters before him.
We are waiting what's that will result.
So the 18th of October is when the judge will know whether he will continue to sit on this case or another judge will take over.
Well, the Daily Guide to wrap the conversation. Nilante bows out of Parliament. For you follow politics. I know you'll be very interested in that. And there's also leaked tape. 2 cops admit voices. Bugri Nabu says so. He came to Parliament in 2013.
Nilante Van der Poy. And the interesting thing about Nilante and then him leaving parliament is that. So 3 individuals have filed to succeed.
Yeah. He's asked them to be very circumspect.
I think that if you live in Ododo and you want to become an MP,
there must be
names
somewhere.
Start with Ni. Forget it.
You remember Nilante Bannerman from the MPP was trying to.
So the 3 individuals in this want to succeed him. Ni Okan Laye, Ni Kote Ashi, Ni Aboy Anan. If you are not
Ni Benjamin Akakochu.
Of course.
I'm heading to Ododo.
If you are not Ni, you don't go to Ododo, I beg you.
Hey! Anyway, that's an interesting one there. Okay, so we've come to the end of the newspaper review, and I mentioned at the start that I was going to do this. When last did you get your prostate checked?
In fact, in the last, I think, in the latter part of last year, and then this year I've done it twice.
Oh wow!
Yes. So this
congratulations.
Twice.
Yeah.
I mean, my attention was drawn to it last year. So the latter part of last year, I checked. It was okay, but I still took advantage.
Is it the PSA? You did the PSA?
Yes, I did everything. Everything checked out very well. But then the doctor said that once you are 35 and above, it can happen anytime.
Look, now even some men who are not even 30 are developing problems.
So apart from checking out, I was okay. Give me some medicine that occasionally you take so that you will still stay within the safe zone. Yeah, so it is important that we do. So prostate cancer for men, breast cancer for
It's not even just the cancer, sometimes enlargement and the discomfort and everything it does to you. That's a good one there. I am yet to do it this year, but I'll definitely do it. I did it last year as well. And that's why we're offering to you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening. Come, they'll check you out for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just locate them at any of their branches here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, easy to find. There's also Kumasi Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji Estate. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiama and Zema. If you'd like to give them a call, the numbers are 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Reach out to them. Let me also let you know the topic that I'll be discussing today after Prime Sports. For my blunt thoughts, the Galamsey Circus and our professionals' exodus, the dangerous path Ghana is treading. That's what I'm going to be talking about. But up next, we have Prime Take with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Today, he's going to be engaging the immediate past director of physical education and the sports unit at the Ghana Education Service in the person of Emmanuel Domenya. That is up next on the AM show. Do stay.
Hello everyone, welcome to Prime Take. Today we are having a special conversation, a conversation that surrounds how Ghana sports used to be the most dominant thing simply because talents in obscurity were found through school sporting activities. But over the years, some have described the school sports as a system that is dead. Others have said it has taken a complete nosedive. While there are those who actually believe that school sports is still the area that has the potential of getting us talents to feed into our various sporting disciplines. One man who was in charge of physical education at the Ghana Education Service, Mr. Emmanuel Domenya, is here to speak to us. So have a clear understanding of what they were doing that brought school sports and produced the talents that we were witnesses and what is not actually happening right here. As I mentioned, Emmanuel Domenya is my guest today on Prime Take. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, my brother.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. How are you doing?
Sure. By the grace we are living.
Hope everything's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, nice to have you and to finally see you after such a long time. I remember we did the SHS Sports Festival together in Cape Coast.
Sure, 2017.
That was it?
Precisely.
6 years ago. Interesting. Nice to finally have a conversation surrounding school sports once again. Even after 6 years, since 2017, we had several conversations about this very area, and we need to have a clear understanding of what's actually happening. But first of all, let's have a a perfect picture of who Emmanuel Domenya is and how you got into the physical education space when everyone is chasing the other areas.
Oh, thank you very much. And yeah, simply, this is Emmanuel Domenya. I was born on a Thursday, so yeah.
Okay.
I was Christian Emmanuel. Then, you know, as usual, the family name, Ghanaian tradition, Domenya. So I'm Emmanuel Domenya. I'm from a small village. No, a town.
You know what's called a village?
No, it's not a village, it's a town. Because gone at the days when I say village.
Yeah.
Yeah. Few kilometers north of Hawaii.
Okay.
Likpemate.
Okay.
Currently, the new Guang district.
Okay.
That's the capital.
Okay.
So should I say village?
It's a semi-village. Come on.
So honestly, I was born and bred there. My parents are now late.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Basically farmers. My father was a very astute blacksmith that produces guns, pistols, etc. Yeah. They're all late now. I started school there in Likpemate, RC Primary. Then I had to join my uncle in Ketekrachi. Then from Ketekrachi, I was transferred to Krachin Kwanta. He was an educationist, a head teacher.
Okay.
So I ended my middle school in Kwanta, started the then common entrance to the secondary school. I passed. I was given government scholarship. But because I was with him and my talent in sports and sports performance, the then Kwanta Secondary School said no, they would rather take me on and give me bursary instead of going to Hokwaipi Secondary School with government scholarship.
Okay.
And more so, my uncles too, I would have been leaving him. So they could not even condone, and I had to remain in Kwanta. So I started in Kwasek. But then it was a new school, it was in the third year.
Okay.
So I was there, then finally my uncle got transferred to Kolong, also a town near Howe. But the same school then wasn't the type that I could have continued at. I got to Form 3 in Kwanta Secondary School in Kwasek. So I had to go back home to the small village and then complete at Lisek, Likpe Secondary School.
So you were your education was more of switching from one area to the other?
Yeah, sort of, brief. So after the Likpe Secondary School, I got admission to Franco, St. Francis Training College. But all along the line, I would always sports prefect because I combine effectively sports with academics.
Okay.
Sometimes you're somewhere camping, then you come at 2 weeks to exams. You have to learn hard and write and pass. So I wasn't solely for sports. I actually like academics too.
As well.
So that was how it came about. Franco was a sports captain. Then after Franco was posted to a village, the border town, Leklebi Dugan.
Okay.
Yeah, I taught there for just 1 year. They moved me to Okwai City itself and detached me as a PE teacher in some schools, though I was attached to Holy Rosary Middle School. And from there, my supervisor saw me one day and said, no, you are very good, you are doing well. Why don't you further? So I believe I have 1 more year to serve before I go, so you can go. So after serving for 2 years, I left for Winneba.
Oh, okay.
Where I actually did sports.
Okay.
So I did my diploma there, completed, and then I was posted to first Winneba Senior High School. Okay. We realized that in Winneba, no, in Central Region, because of the advantage they have with the sports college, they always took the first 5, the top best, and make sure they remain in the Central Region, then the rest can go. So I didn't know how come. I was just posted to Winneba Senior High School, though I didn't choose the place. So I attended an interview, and I was actually placed on the timetable. Okay. I went and saw it. One day I went back to campus, we were clearing something, then a colleague of mine from Kumasi came and said, hey, you are still here, they posted you in Kumasi, they posted you. I said, what? So I took the advantage to go and then see what it was. And indeed, Ashanti Region picked me up and posted me. I went to the HR, I said, you? Yes. They opened the ledger, they said, you have been posted to 2 different schools, so Justice Day Senior High School and Justice Secondary Commercial School. I didn't know anywhere around the place.
Was it after you were done with Winneba?
Yes, after I was done with Winneba, we were to be posted. So Central took me, Ashanti took me. So I settled for Ashanti. Why, I can't tell anyway. So,
but there should be a reason.
Well, I wasn't sure at the time because I took Volta Region as my posting place. But I found myself in Central, I found myself in Ashanti. I actually consulted one of my tutors at the training college then, so you can adapt to changes, so go. But I wanted to stay close to my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm close to her, so he said we can go, you can adapt. One they didn't bring you to the Volta region, you can make it. So I decided to be in Ashanti, Effijazi Senior High School. So the one who was in charge of the posting to say, okay, you just is a day school. You let me put you to Effijazi Senior. So I went. And for close to 10 years, massively, I brought sports alive in that school. You know, Ashanti and Tako, it wasn't easy. There was no single year within the period that I did not qualify with personals. Sometimes
were you the sports master in the
I was the sports master, PE tutor. I taught PE and then biology at the time. So for almost 10 years, I decided to further.
Okay.
So I went to do my degree. Immediately after that, I came back. So I posted to Kumasi Technical Institute, where I worked. Within a year, my people told me, no, I've done enough in the classroom, so I should be a district PE coordinator. So I had nothing to say. I said, wherever my service I needed, I was ready to work. So they sent me first to Mansun Kwanta, that's Amanshe West, in Ashanti region. I worked for 2 years. They said, no, we are doing so well. There's vacancy at Tepa, Afanu North, Ashanti. So they posted me there, and I continued my work. So 2004, I left Mansun Kwanta to Tepa. So I was in Tepa up to 2015, where I spent most of my time as district PE coordinator, Ashanti Regional Sports Coach, athletics, volleyball, all that. In fact, I was high ranking within the priest. Then, as it went on, I was upgrading myself too. So I got to the rank of deputy director.
Deputy director of?
Education.
Education.
Yes. But I was still with sports.
Okay.
So any director that came, looking at my work, gave me an additional responsibility. So throughout my being district PE coordinator, I had additional responsibility. When I got to the deputy rank, I was deputy for finance and administration.
Okay.
With sports still attached. Then I went to statistics research, monitoring evaluation, deputy director, still with sports. Then finally they sent me to HR, human resource development and management. I went there, still as sports and deputy. Then finally, God bless me, I attended the interview I was due, and I got promoted to directorship.
Okay.
All in Tepa. So I was posted to Sechirafran Plains as a district director of education.
Okay.
So that was where I started as full administrator. Not long, one code meeting, my regional director just said, you, I'm posting you to the move. Go to Adansi Saudi BRC. I was looking at him, said, no, you go. Take over from so and so. So I got myself ready, bag and baggage. I went to New BRC from Sechirafran Place. That was Drobonso. So I got settled there, started work. It wasn't easy. Then one day we were at court meeting. That's Conference of District Directors of Education in Takrady. So I was just picked up by the then headquarters authority. No, you accompany the Director General to sports festival in this. I said, why am I to complain? So I had to cut short that program and then accompany the Director General to the place. Supervised the work, everything was done. Came back. On the office when I had a letter that had been transferred to the headquarters to take over physical education and sports as director in charge of sports and national coordinator of PE. Well,
that's basically the journey.
That is how the journey. So, but before then, just before getting to directorship, I went back to school again and did my master's in administration and management, education administration management. So that was how I got to the headquarters and got myself into the highest position of sports in the country.
In the country. That's quite an interesting one. And when you were in school, which activities were you taking part in? Footballer,
I was an all-rounder, but I did more of athletics and the hand games. I did little in football.
Were they long distance races or the sprint ones?
Short distances, 100 meters, 200 and 400. But my specialized area was 400, where I set a record when I was in Winnipeg for the tertiary.
Okay. Yeah. Which record was this? Can you remember the time? It's been long.
44.59 at the time.
Wow.
I was being used as a beginning pick at the time because our institution were trying to research into...
Was it the 800 meters or which race that you did the 44?
400 meters.
400 meters?
Yes.
Wow.
You know, at the time...
This should be qualifying you to world championships.
Oh, I was good at the time. You see my length. You see my legs.
The height is even there.
So, no, at the time, something helped me. My department, the lecturers were trying to see whether 400 meters can be a sprint race. They were researching, because people were saying 400 meters is a sprint race.
Yes.
You know, 100 meters sprint, 200 meters sprint. So I didn't know I was being used as a guinea pig. They would set people there, 4 guys. So they would do 4 by 100, and I would do 400 flats. So they would change at each quarter.
Yeah.
So they would ring us, yes, are you ready? Go and warm up. We go, pam, and I take off. And I had to sprint to the end. So I was sprinting.
They were changing the baton.
They were changing the baton. 4 people against me. So I was sprinting. Immediately I take off. By the time I take the first curve, I've taken that guy. The stretch, I'm gone. The next curve, I'm gone. If it's about almost always a time, 40 meters to the finish, then they'll start catching me up. No, we did this severally.
Because at that point, you've lost the gas in you.
We did this severally. So I was told, okay, now why don't you slow down here a bit and then coast for the next 200 meters and finish?
Yeah, hard.
One, Mr. Baba, he's late now. Professor Pufa, he's late now. And then a third one. Those who were the anchor of that program. So it wasn't a surprise when I made the record that year for the tertiary, 400 meters flat.
But during your days, how would you describe the school sport then?
No, school sport was very vibrant. To the extent that though it was academics, you still want to be there. You know, and school, sports were holistic from the very scratch. And mind you, when we talk about physical education and sports, that course, it's a course on itself. Okay, every teacher, if you don't pass that paper, you will not get your set A. You know, those days, it's a prerequisite. It's a core of the whole general program.
Around which year was this?
Actively, I was in school, let's say 80 to 90, 95 thereabout. I completed training in 85, Franco. And this was on, because if you don't pass P, you'll be referred. You cannot take the set A. So those days, every teacher in every classroom you find yourself, you know, P is on the timetable. Yeah. You take your kids out and do something on P. And every teacher was comfortable doing something. You change, your kids change, you do P, you come back to the classroom. Senior high school, no exception. For the senior high schools, so we had the technical personnel there who are all over the place. So P at that time was very, very high on the table. And so we did. We made P so interesting that every child wanted to be involved. Government supplied balls to schools. We had the equipment. Every school had a field, because you cannot build a school without a football field attached. Goggisburg, you remember?
Yeah. Yes. And even it cuts across. Yeah.
That is it. But today they are even using school fields for other projects. And teaching of P in the training college is almost out. Because those who are being churned out now, they have basically no knowledge in P. And as we went along, there should have been a period that they should start feeding the basic schools with the technical men. you know. So each basic school, or as it were, GHS primary, should have a PE personnel who should organize issues. You know, at our time, like I said, in my very second year in the teaching, when I entered, I was detached, that PE detached teacher. And I did work in 10 schools. Though as I attached to a particular school, I organized sports, made sure that things went well in 10 schools within the area. And there were a lot of us PE detached teachers. That was even before I went to specialize in physical education at Winneba. So the training I had at college, being a very good sports person, so they identified us as such. And those PE, I mean, sports was okay. Because once you are a thinker person, aside just running and jumping, you know the skills, the technicalities involved. Is this how to do this? I want a long jumper. I'll line them up, put a line, hey, jump, double step, you jump, and then I'll look at the strength in your leg and the measure. So you easily pick kids that you go and do this. You teach the person, just look at the structure, and you develop talents everywhere. So these are some of the things that are lacking now. And I don't know.
How did we get it wrong? Considering all what you're telling me.
You see, our policymakers, sometimes policies are put across without getting to the technocrats. You know, for instance, people are complaining that churches, people attending churches is coming down. Why? How do you take religious and moral education out of the curriculum? Where is the morality? You understand? Those days, especially the institutions that have school, the churches, Catholic, I attended Catholic school throughout. And Franco is an astute Catholic training college. So, you know, that thing is embedded in you. But today, it's like certain things are being pulled out.
The 10 commandments.
You know, how do you want to develop sports and yet you kill sports at the basics? Suleiman Tari, I was on the bench. Do you know how he was picked for the junior team?
Tell me.
We were playing. Ashanti was playing, that Milo games, Ashanti was playing the North. You know, the Northerners are very strong. And Sule, if you study him very well, he's a bit gawky. He pushed a ball from the center circle, 1-2, and gave a shot, and it was a goal. By then, when we are doing this, the national coaches, they come around to scout. This was the base on which they picked Suleiman Tari, because the boy had powerful shot in the left foot. So the guy consulted, this boy, so he's very young. He was then in Okes, Osechu Trisina High School. Yeah. That was how he got, the eyes caught him. And there he is, from school, direct from school. Not to talk about the SCN and the guys who actually brought that Black Star to the world stage. They were all our products. So, you see, now, most of the periods, most of the schools, the administrators, senior high school and others, they want to go more for academics than sports. I know if you have like the lazy sports teachers easily give their periods off for other maths, English, the core subjects to be taught. Because P is on the timetable, but gradually it's being relegated to the...
So tell me one thing. You just spoke about something quite interesting, which has to do with how Suleiman Tari, one of the players who has played 3 World Cups for Ghana, yes. 2006, 2010, and 2014, he was found through the school sports system.
Milo school, yes, Milo games.
Milo games.
Yes.
There are also other sporting disciplines, as in athletics, as in even this
volleyball, basketball.
And all that. And I remember when I was in secondary school, in as much as I was a terrible player.
That's right. But you played.
Yeah, I did.
Irrespective.
In fact, you know, I even played a bit of golf. I played a bit of hockey. So
why? Because the instinct was kept up in you. Your sports teacher will make things available.
Mr. Abel Peter, that was his name. I still remember his name.
That is
It's been like 15 years, but I don't remember.
That is, you see, the interest was there, and the people were interested, so the teachers were serious. Sometimes not even a technical person, but just a teacher who is a performer will take you through. But these days, no, not at all. Everything is academics, academics, academics. And in the academics, we are not seeing it. Because for a child, right, to have the energy, the stamina, or whatever it is to go, you need to be physically fit. This is a sound mind is found in a sound body. So it isn't for nothing that our, predecessors, so that's our forefathers, made sure that we combine academics with sports. It's an integral part of the academic program. But once it's been relegated, that is it. You go and sit down, you can't even walk. No, the kids are too feeble because they don't exercise. If you are young and you don't exercise, what are you doing to yourself?
I'm sure when you were in the system, served as district coordinator and all that, I'm sure probably you saw stuff that kind of suggested that the school sports system was taking a nosedive. What did you do as a technical man to advise that if we don't take our time, within the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, we'll be losing massive talents?
Thank you. We always had federation meetings. The whole technical men in the country and women, we met annually. Then it came biennally. We meet and discuss sports for about a week. The national coordinator will assemble all PE personnel. Then we go and sit for about a week to discuss and give proposals. These proposals never got anywhere. It was something we were doing at the time. But when we realized that there was nothing coming out, because imagine the whole country, PE personnel will meet. We divide ourselves into groups, the various disciplines, then we interrogate the system as it was and where we are going to, what we need to do. All these things were done. But, the policy makers and the politicians, let me be frank, this time around, we are not being ruled by the National Development Agenda. We are being ruled by manifesto. You understand? So now I say, when I come as a leader of this country, as a president, this and that is what I'm going to do, whether it conforms with the National Development Plan or not. And sometimes we promise so much that once we even forget some of the promises we did.
That's quite an interesting one.
Yes. And therefore, when we allow ourselves to be, ruled by a manifesto of a group of people, not the National Development Agenda, then, for instance, I was fortunate to be a member of the NYA board, National Youth Authority, when I was in office. We realized that no, the youth, the teen youth, need some centers because at the time, how many sports stadiums do we have? So we sought out to build 10, we called them at the time, youth resource centers. We started very well, we made sure things were going on, then it curtailed. No, actually, that board was dissolved when the second term of the president came. I was no longer a member. I had then left office too. Nanabi has left. Yusuf, the current Minister for Sports, is now an honorable MP. Yeah. He left the board. Our board chair then was Francisca Otin, the youngest MP at the time. Yeah. She was the board chair. Slightete, English Amanfro, was the CEO. And we were very busy building this stadia. We call them youth resource centers, yes, across the country. The Volta one hurriedly was put into place for the last Independence Day. These were the structures were massive. These were the structures we were putting up. But it died down. But as I speak now, Hajide, Honorable, is trying to pick the one after the other to make sure he completes it. My Bolga Festival should have taken place in that facility because we were hopeful though.
Yeah, I remember after the 2017 festival, you were moving the next festival to Bolga.
Exactly. We were hopeful it to be ready because the rate at which we were going, then suddenly the contractors, whether they started misbehaving or because we knew there was money at NYA to be able to do these things. Dilly-dally, dilly-dally, dilly-dally.
Would you say it is due to lack of political will for some of these things to happen? Because it's the politicians who take the decisions.
That's why I'm saying that some decisions are taken without the technocrats.
No, even if the technocrats is involved and the technocrat offers an advice, and because the politician has got a political interest, definitely he will have to take a political decision.
So you want me to tell you that?
You know it. But that's the obvious question that I'm asking.
No, you see,
you have been there, you have interacted with them, and you have a perfect picture of how the system was and how we can get better.
The question is, if we have sought out to do that project, and we give ourselves time, by the end of the tenure of the first term of the president, we would have commissioned all the 10 recreation resource centers. And if it didn't happen, so the question is, why? You understand? Why? What happened? So we leave it as it is.
No, we cannot leave it as it is.
No, definitely. No, I say I would do it. At the end of the day, I didn't do it. Or I catered. So,
as a national PE coordinator and director of sports at the Ghana Education Service,
headquarters, yes.
What were the major things you put on the table for the development of school sports in Ghana?
Thank you. When I took over office, already I was one of them at the grassroots. Yes. So I need specifically what to happen at the grassroots. So I needed to empower all PE personnel across the country. So I met my regional coordinators, told them what to do to meet all the district, municipal district coordinators. You know, we are well structured, such that when you say AB at the headquarters, it goes down to the last person. All right? So we came together. We already were in the system before I got there, so I knew what it was. I thought I was leaving the system because it was becoming bored. Yeah. So I became a director, oh, hallelujah. I'm not into administration, so I jumped out of sports. But I made sure in my district, they never lack sports. Equipment were provided. The coordinator, fortunately, was my mate. Imagine you are a district director and the PE coordinator is your mate. Yeah. So he lacked nothing. We did all we could, raising our teams and everything. And that went all through. At the point, I thought, oh, I'm not free, I've left sports. I told her, go and be the #1 in sports in the country so far as education is concerned. So knowing all that was the background, I climbed up and then started fixing things. For over 10, 15, 20 years, I was the only one who organized capacity building exercise for all the technical men across the regions, across the country. So I divided them into 4. You come, we meet for a week. We go through developmental issues, retrain you, give you modalities, what you should do and what you should not do, and how we could revamp sports. And it was a shocker. And I did this to meet the return to sports after the COVID. Yes. I brought all of them round and give them training, retrain them, skill-wise, what have you. I discussed with my director general, he understood me, and they sponsored it. So we made sure, I also made sure that all sporting activities ran. Funding was provided for all sporting activities to run, right from inter-classes, intersections, inter-school, inter-zonals, inter-district to inter-regionals. From 2016 till I left office, we never failed. I remember at the point I was in my office, when we were doing the under 13, now the guys were scouting around. I was the local, that's when they came in and said, oh, Charlie, we spotted this boy at so and so and so and so. When I realized the boy was in a village somewhere in Sefi. So they wanted the boy, so you relax. So how can we, where's the place? I said, sit down. Just called my regional coordinator that I needed this people. Who is in charge of this district? He mentioned, I said, I need him. In my office, within 10 minutes, we contacted the boy and the parents and spoke to them. That was the structure. Seshi, a village in Seshi. Because when we organize my program, a lot of people come around, the coach teams and others, to scout. Yes. This is one example I'm giving you. So I had data. So when we went for these games, I have my own computer, the pictures of the kids, I have data. Calls in there, she will tell you. Because we want to monitor them. We knew this was how we got the Sules, the Asians, and others. So we always monitor. If you get to my office now, you see a lot of data and the kids by picture, by name, by areas. So we did this to revamp sports across until COVID came. And in fact, things were moving up. You remember the Almighty Azamiti? You remember Cape Coast? 2017.
I know.
You realize this boy didn't win the 100 meters at the end of the day.
I still remember. I remember the likes of Sarkodie. I remember the likes of Ansan. The
Beautiful.
Likes of Gadaye.
This boy was not the best. He didn't win the national festival 100 meters.
Even when he was at the University of Ghana, he wasn't one of the.
You got the point. Meaning, at the time, 2017, when I was doing my thing, there were 2 or 3 people better than him.
Yes.
Historically, 13 records were broken in Cape Coast. You remember?
I was there.
13 records in one festival. Records that were 20, 15, 18 years old.
Yeah. There was one record which was like 24 years old.
Beautiful. It took me to do that. So if you ask me what I did, this was what I did. Making sure that sports were holistically revamped from the village, cottage there, up to the top. And the way we did our sports, you see, from the school level, every school in the country, you do interclass. Then you have session, you do intersession. Then every district is divided into zones. You do
Is it a calendar that you provide for them?
Yes, I provide calendar from the headquarters. From day one, the entire year calendar. So my department always produce calendar for the regions to tap from and do their own programs. So it's sad that those days, we advise that, look, don't concurrently do everything, consult with your other colleagues. So when you're doing football today, that means this officer should be doing football. So we can come around to supervise. So sometimes they call director, if you can, this day I'm doing this day I'm doing this, as a Cynthia move, go to central region. Myself, I'm in the north. Just making sure that and they were, happy that the assignment I've given them, they are doing it to the letter. So sometimes they will inform you that, Director, on this day, we are here, we are doing our inter-district. The inter-district raises the regional team. If I have time, I go in there just to watch what is happening, give advice, and then come back. My job is not only to say, though I'm the director administratively, but I have things that I do, and I have things that I do on the field. So honestly, I had them under my armpits. And everybody reported, because every year you give me a report of your activities, which I put together as a report for the unit. And 2020, I got to the headquarters 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2020. We never drop our basic, it's biennial.
Yeah.
This year basic, the following year senior high, basic, senior high, basic, senior high. Each performed within 2 years. And then the Almighty Cape Coast grew. I remember that they bunched into my office or cameras and said, my friend, what is happening? No, that year we were not to have gone for the festival after all these preparations. No, finally, the FC, the financial controller, saw me on the corridor moving and said, hey, P, you people, are you sure you are going? I said, oh, yes, we will go. I smiled and said, we will go, because I knew what I was doing underground. No, he's the financial controller, but we have the budget officer, the accountant. So I was on her. Madam, please. Because I already told the director general that, please don't let it happen in our time that this year we will not go to national festival. He said, okay, what can we do? I said, no. Just make sure the capitation is paid. One capitation is paid, but then we're about 3 or 4 in arrears, tranches in arrears. Ali, that is exposed, and so they should. The accountant called the controller before me that this is it. We are begging, this is it. So I was sure that something was going to happen.
Welcome back on the AM show. I'm not going to be mincing words. You know how we do it. It's time for me to share with you my blunt thoughts this morning. Just to let you know, we may not be live on Joy News on Facebook because we're facing some streaming challenges. But as soon as we can get this up, we'll get it on social media for those of you who follow us there. Now, the title, Ghana 4, of my blunt thoughts for today is The Galamsey Circus and Our Professionals' Exodus, the dangerous path Ghana is treading. The Galamsey Circus and Our Professionals' Exodus, the dangerous path Ghana is treading. I'd like to start with my blunt thoughts with a bit of a quote when it comes to governance. And it says, where there is little or no public opinion, there is likely to be bad government, which sooner or later becomes autocratic government. And that's a quote from William Leon Mackenzie King. That is part of why some of us do what we do. Some people may not like it, but it's not about which party. It's not about which friends or this or that or which ethnic group. It's about Ghana. And in the end, we, as part of the doyens of democracy, must do what must be done for our democracy to deliver the goods that democracy, good governance, must deliver. That's why we do what we do. Now, this morning, I want to share my thoughts on those crucial matters, but I also want to start from the Atuesian standpoint and how things have turned out for Atuesian. So if you look at the Capital Bank's Atuesian and his conviction, 15 years is what he's been handed, and he was convicted of stealing over 90 million Ghana cedis of Bank of Ghana's liquidity support to the now defunct Capital Bank, and on the back of his inability to fully pay the said amount back to the state after agreeing to do so despite being afforded the opportunity. Now, what has the charge been? William Atuesian, Reverend Fitzgerald Odonko, and Tetenete, a former managing director of MC Management Services owned by Mr. Essien, were charged with 23 counts of conspiracy, stealing from the 620 million Ghana cedi liquidity support given the bank by the Bank of Ghana to enable it to service its maturing debt. Now, the accused persons, according to the prosecution, opened various bank accounts with Capital Bank, that's how they did it, which the 620 million Ghana cedis Bank of Ghana liquidity support was transferred to, while others were carried in jute bags to Atuesian. And in terms of the payment of the 90 million Ghana cedis to the state, how did he do it? What were his attempts, at least, to find out how we got here? He earlier paid 30 million Ghana cedis upfront in December 2022. Since that time, he made an additional payment of 5 million Ghana cedis, bringing the total to 35 million Ghana cedis. Now we're talking 90 million Ghana cedis. So you're looking at a deficit of about 55 million Ghana cedis. And the lifeline, how long has this lasted? In May 2023, he was given up until the 4th of July 2023 to liquidate his assets and pay the state the remaining 55 million Ghana cedis. And guess what? This deadline elapsed without any payment made. And that is the tale of the tape when it comes to Atuesian and how things have turned out. You know, going to prison, going to jail, it's not something you would wish even on your worst enemy. No. But again, you look at the timelines and things that have happened. He's been afforded ample opportunity. I feel for his family. No one wants that to happen to any member of the family. But at the same time, the state must crack the whip. And I even feel that in this instance, he was given much longer a rope than others were. But I have a question. What happened to the two others? Is it that they were star witnesses or, they entered some plea bargain? What is happening with those two? It will be interesting to find out because it can't just be Atuesian, right? He was in cahoots with other people. So what has happened with them? But moving from there, I want to segue quickly into the next bit I want to talk about, which is Galamsey and the back and forth the ping pong between Professor Frimpong Boateng and the AG, and something somewhere doesn't add up for me. I'm going to lay it bare, and you form your own conclusions. So if you look at his report, Prof's report, has come to the fore again on illegal mining. According to Prof, officials at the presidency were heavily involved in Galamsey. NPP bigwigs had orchestrated his ousting because he was not in agreement with them on some of the shady things happening. The allegations of 500 missing excavators, according to him, were untrue, and leading NPP officials served as legal counsel for Galamsey suspects. We've been told of Chinese and others who came into the country, and we know of the names already, who stood for them, who served as legal counsel for them, members of the NPP. Then he spoke of an MP selling illegally acquired concessions at 200,000 Ghana cedis. These were the claims he made. Now, let's find out. The AG, in his reply, says it's crucial. After a careful study of the report, the various documents and pen drives submitted to the police, we do not find any evidence in support of the allegations made against the persons cited in the report, with the exception of 3 of the accused persons. In fact, the AG calls the report empty. That is what he says. Let's go to the next slide. Now, it also mentions that they are unable to recommend the prosecution of any of the persons cited in the report. That is the Attorney General's office. And the AG awaits the outcome of the investigations being conducted in the case involving the 3 other accused persons. Interesting, no? But let's look at some of the dynamics, those who were involved in the accusations leveled against them. So 9 persons were cited in the report as being involved in illegal mining activities. Then we have 3 alleged to be involved in the sale of excavators, and then another 3 said to have done acts or committed acts which directly or indirectly inhibited Professor Frimpong Boateng in his fight against illegal mining while he was still at post. Let's go to the next slide. But then in his list of evidence presented, this is what he puts forward. A compilation of online publications by a news portal referencing some of what had happened. A compilation of signed letters from the Forestry Commission granting approval for the issuance of entry permits to various companies to conduct exploratory activities in specific forest reserves. A compilation of an updated list of small-scale miners permitted to work as of the 7th of July 2020. All of this. He provided a statement given to the police by one of the accused persons with a bank statement of account and deposit slips, evidence. A decision by Shraj in a case filed against Professor Frimpong Boateng by one Arnold Agbodo on concessions granted to the professor's son, and a compilation of excavators kept at aviation in Adenta. Let's go to the next slide. Then we come back to the AG, and according to his office, quote, apart from the statement of one of the accused persons and the attached statements of account from a bank which provides some evidence, none of the above-mentioned documents provide any relevant information. Note that, any relevant information in support of the allegations made in the report by the professor. Wow. Next slide. Again, it is recorded that several attempts by the police to obtain further information from Frimpong Boateng to substantiate the allegations made in the report and to assist them to conduct further investigations proved futile. The professor refused to provide any further information to the police, and he also declined to give a written statement claiming his report was, quote, an embodiment of his statement and all the information he has on the allegations. And let me just make this point. When the good old professor put out what he did, what was the response from the presidency? What was the response from staffers at the presidency? What was the response from bigwigs of the MPP? Of course, if you come at him like that, how can he even be willing to give further information? In fact, he talks about this report having been there gathering dust for 2 years, a report that the chief of staff had been aware of. So what would be the incentive for someone like this who has been hounded, bloodied, bludgeoned bloody, have to, come back and say, okay, I'm willing to give you any further information. And now we're being told that upon all the piles of information, it is empty. Well, just for you to know. Let's go to the next slide. Having left that scene, Galamsey, and I brought it up because guess what? We see what Galamsey is doing in our country, the illegal mining. I don't know how we're going to resolve it because our political actors are neck deep. In fact, eyebrow deep in it. But like I started with that quote at the beginning, if people like me, if people like you do not say anything, then we have no business complaining. So now, let's wrap with this. Many of you are not taking notice of this, but our teachers and our nurses are leaving the country in droves. And bit by bit, if we're not careful, we may get to the point where you even go to a hospital facility and you can't even get assistance. The right people. I mean, let me just cite an example. Mohbad in Nigeria, supposedly the nurse who injected him was not properly, trained or did not have the right certification. You don't want that to happen to you, but that's the slippery slope we're on. And interestingly, when you talk about some of these things, people will tell you, oh, we produce about 30,000 nurses and all of that. So if 10,000 leave, or if the teachers, if a certain number leave, it doesn't mean much. Really? I don't know which thinking these people put into such comments, but time will tell. If you go to hospital and you get the needed treatment. There was a time I went to hospital at dawn during the COVID era. I had to wait 4 hours for a doctor. I had to leave. That is what it is. And if you have the wherewithal, the money, then you might have to go to a private facility or some place with top-notch facilities like the University of Ghana Medical Center. But are you ready? Do you have what it takes to pay for such services? How about the masses? How about ordinary people? And that is why I bring this up. Now, looking at the exodus, as of the 8th of September 2023, 2,000 nurses had left Ghana to seek greener pastures abroad. The source, the health ministry. Remember that as of last year, in the first quarter alone, 3,000 nurses had left. Those are the startling figures. By the 5th of October 2023, in terms of teachers, 10,000 of them had relocated to the UK alone. No, I'm not talking about Canada, Australia, US, no. UK alone, 10,000. That's according to the National Teaching Council. And yet we have a paucity of quality leaders here, or teachers and nurses. Let's go to the next slide. So why are they leaving? Simple. Low salaries. And they've complained that just do a little bit about this. Poor infrastructure, delayed promotion, the politics, the bureaucracy, rising cost of living, and the economic hardship. We can't run away from it. Inflation alone has done a job on many of us in terms of our incomes. How can you overlook this? And when they get the opportunity, who are we to tell them not to go? We must be patriotic, but at the same time, like some will say, with patriotism we go chop. Next slide. According to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, between January and July 2023, nurses that sought clearance to leave Ghana for greener pastures, over 10,000, 10,209 to be specific. The number of nurses cleared to leave, 4,000. That's a percentage of 39.2%. This is staggering, and I do not know whether we don't see it, but the powers that be, we are putting out these things so that action can be taken, because and I keep saying, for some of these elites in society, the politicians and the rest, you may go for your routine checkups outside, like that CDD fellow mentioned. But if there's an emergency, you will fall on the same systems we fall on. And that day, you may see that what the ordinary man goes through, what the ordinary woman goes through, what the ordinary child goes through is not the best of situations. Next slide. Now, is it an old problem? Look at it. 2013, an estimated 33,185 teachers had abandoned their posts in recent years, quote, to seek greener pastures elsewhere. That was according to NAT at the time. In 2022, 59.9% of practicing nurses intended to leave the country, according to a survey. Practically 60%, that is 6 out of every 10, want to leave the country. How can we be like this? To conclude, let's go to the next slide. Now, in terms of the same exodus, according to Dr. Pakwesi Beidu, Ashanti Regional President of the Ghana Medical Association, in June 2022, this is what he said. About 10,727 nurses had been at home, and unable to find employment since 2019. You remember my conversation some time back with a nurse, a male nurse in the UK, left Ghana earning about 500 to 700 cedis. There, he was earning the equivalent of about 50,000 cedis a month. Of course, you may talk about taxes, accommodation, and everything, but he's still better off. Can we do something better for them? I was earning more washing cars in the UK. This is what he said. Washing cars in the UK, he was earning more than, being a nurse. I was making more than £2,000 a month, whereas my salary here was not even $1,000. Ghana is not poor. We are not even rich. We are wealthy. We're spoiled for natural resources. We have the human resource here. Something obviously is not going right. But Ghana 4, I started talking about speaking up. And I'll end with this quote. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. The good governance we talk about, we cannot be mere consumers of it. We must be participants. Mr. President said not spectators, right? We must be participants. We must be co-creators, because good governance doesn't just happen. And these problems we are facing, whether it is Galamsey, whether it is the exodus of nurses and teachers, it can only be resolved if we speak up and hold the feet of those who are in power to the fire of accountability. That is a quote there, as far as the co-creators, Rohini Nilekani. And these are my blunt thoughts for you, Ghana 4, shared with you, raw, hot, and edited, undiluted. As always, God richly bless our motherland, Ghana, and make her great and strong.
Pleaded guilty to 16 counts of stealing, conspiracy to steal, and money laundering in December 2022, and was asked to refund 90 million Ghana cedis he confessed to have stolen after entering into a plea bargain with the state under Section 35 of the Court Act. Under the agreement, Mr. Essien was supposed to pay the 90 million Ghana cedis in 3 tranches, but he defaulted on the payment, giving the state no other option but to file a motion for the sentence to be handed him. Mr. Essien first paid 30 million of the amount on December 1, 2022, and per the agreement as adopted by the court, was ordered to pay the remaining 60 million in 3 installments, with the first installment on or before April 28, 2023, the second on or before August 31, 2023, and the last installment on or before December 15, 2023. In court on Thursday, Mr. Essien's lawyers pleaded for more time to enable him to pay the outstanding amount of money, but the state moved a motion for a custodial sentence to be given him after he breached the agreement. The motion was opposed by Mr. Essien's lawyers, who grounded their argument on the fact that Mr. Essien, during the period, had exhibited utmost good faith by paying 1/3 of the amount, being 37 million Ghana cedis, and if given more time, he will be able to pay the outstanding amounts. And moreover, Mr. Essien has some property in and outside the country that he is putting up for sale to enable him pay. The presiding judge, Justice Eduward Twun, agreed with the state, and in handing Mr. Essien the sentence, said he had taken into consideration all the pleas by his lawyers and sentenced him on each count. The sentence for the various counts in totality was 95 years. But because Mr. Essien is expected to serve the sentence concurrently, he is to serve the highest sentence, which is 15 years.
From the court complex, my name is Richard Kwejonya for Joy News.
Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubedulansa, and my colleague Richard Kadunyako wraps it all up beautifully on what exactly transpired in court leading to that sentencing of Mr. Atu Essien. But we've got a lot more information to share with you on that, and we'll be rolling that on the screen. And then we will be hearing from lawyer Pencil, who is a private legal practitioner, on the case so far. So, Mr. Atu Essien was convicted of stealing over 90 million cedis of the Bank of Ghana's liquidity support to the now defunct Capital Bank. Now, his inability to fully pay the said amount back to the state after agreeing to do so, despite being afforded the opportunity, led to this 15-year sentence. William Ato-Asian, Reverend Fitzgerald Donko and Tetenete, a former managing director of MC Management Service owned by Mr. Asian, were charged with 23 counts of conspiracy, stealing from the 620 million cedi liquidity support given to the bank by the Bank of Ghana to enable it service its maturing debt. The accused persons, according to the prosecution, opened various bank accounts with Capital Bank through which the 620 million cedi Bank of Ghana liquidity support was transferred, while others were carried in jeweled bags to Ato-Asian. Now, on the payment of 90 million cedis to the state, Mr. Ato-Asian had earlier paid some 30 million cedis upfront in December 2022, and he made additional payments of some 5 million cedis, I beg your pardon, bringing the total payment to 35 million cedis. In May 2023, he was given up until July 4, 2023 to liquidate his assets and pay the state the remaining 55 million cedis. The deadline elapsed without any payments made. Let's now speak to lawyer Kweku Pencil for more on this. Good morning to you, lawyer. It's a pleasure to have you here on the show. So the big question I've seen being asked on social media, especially for persons who are wondering what next, is there any lifeline for Mr. Ato-Asian in all of this?
Hello?
Hello, lawyer. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Right, great. I was asking, there are many people...
I can hear you clearly.
There are many people wondering...
Let me add my sweet beauty.
Thanks for the kind words. The question I have seen, especially on social media, is that the end for Ato-Asian? Does he have an opportunity to appeal after all the lifelines given him?
No. I have looked at the law. It's Act 1079, I think, that amended the criminal procedure code and introduced this plea bargaining of the civil trial proceedings or procedure called terms of settlement that culminates in a consent judgment. Under the Act, a person who enters into a plea bargaining starts by admitting his liability. And once you admit liability, the court has got no further duty, no further burden, no further whatever to continue with the trial of the matter. So you are convicted on your plea, your own plea, that dispenses with any further investigation. That's the first point. It's also explicit that once you accept a plea bargain, you lose your right to appeal against the judgment. Because the essence of a plea bargain, like a consent judgment, is that it cannot be set aside. You entered willingly and freely with on your own volition, with the help of your lawyer. And indeed, before a judge convicts you, or rather, yes, accept the plea bargaining by accepting your conviction, the judge is supposed to take you on oath to make you admit these essential elements of the plea bargaining agreement. So the answer to that question is a flat no.
So this means that he is going to jail for 15 years.
Hello?
Right. So I'm just saying that. So, I mean, it is what it is.
It is.
Right.
The law only provides that a person may apply to sense.
It appears we're having a challenge with lawyer Pencil's line, sadly. We will try to rectify that and get his thoughts on this, and also what the law says, what the legal perspective is. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. If we are unable to get him on a stable line via Zoom. We'll try and reach him via phone. But if you just joined us this morning, we are just trying to understand what the stakes are for Mr. Ato Essien, the founder of defunct Capital Bank, who has been handed a 15-year jail term. As lawyer Pencil was explaining, according to some amendments made, once you enter a plea bargain, you have lost your right to appeal a sentence if you fail to honor your side of the bargain. So he was just about answering beyond the appeal if there was anything that could be done, even if it's politically, because we get that sometimes when, the executive interventions to some of these sentences. And so if we're able to reach lawyer Pencil on a more stable line, we'll be able to hear him. Thankfully, he's back. Lawyer Pencil, so you were just, you were saying something when we lost you there.
Yes. What I'm saying is, the law only provides for the option of applying to set aside the judgment on any ground. It could be of fraud, it could be of deceit, it could be of incapacity, it could be of unsound mind, it could be anything that can vitiate the agreement. In other words, the argument then will be that at all material times that the person entered into the plea bargain agreement, either was not compos mentis, in the sense that he did not appreciate what he did, or that he was induced by something beyond what we all saw on the surface. But those are it's a very thin line for anybody to use to set aside a judgment of a court. Of course, the only other element, the only other option, the only other avenue that's open to him is executive intervention by the president prerogative of mercy. The president has power without answering to anybody to decide to pardon anybody of any criminal offense. And in Ghana, that is a very common part for high exposed public individuals. The president has been using it, even though not frequently. But as a matter of law, these are the only two options open to Essien. Nothing beyond that.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, in explaining to us the events that led to yesterday's sentencing, our correspondent spoke about a certain argument that lawyers for Mr. Ato Essien raised about he trying to put up some property locally and internationally, putting them up for sale. And we know how sometimes these things are. They may not be a ready buyer and all those kind of things. Couldn't that have been a strong argument to advance by his lawyers?
No, you see, the thing about plea bargain agreement is that, I think even the first thing that I should tell the press is that a plea bargain agreement is essentially a public document. And the Attorney General is not doing all of us good service by not making available a copy of the plea bargain agreement, because like the four corners of an agreement, and the judge himself cannot go outside it except in sentencing. Even the sentence itself is supposed to be part of the plea bargain agreement. They can agree on a range of sentences. And it's only when the plea bargain agreement does not contain a range of sentences that the judge is given a discretion to impose a sentence of his own. So the first point is the Attorney General himself is not doing us a favor, or rather is not helping us at all by not making a copy of the agreement available to us. That's the first point. So what is happening is that they are allowing all of us to speculate. So if it was not in agreement, I'm talking about what the lawyer said. If it was not in agreement, if there was not an option for Ato Essien to be given time and extension of time to cater for all this kind of situation, it is out and out and out. And it has no bearing whatsoever and cannot in any way influence the judge. So it's all about what was in the the plea bargain agreement. But from my understanding of the plea bargain agreement, Ato Essien was given a deadline, and that deadline has passed. And once the deadline passes, I think the judge has been magnanimous because there's even no time element to what they are proposing. So from my understanding and upon a proper reading of the law, does not even appear to be an option for him to continue the payment, to get any concession whatsoever. Unless, of course, we see the plea bargain agreement. But if it is not in the plea bargain agreement, if it brings another 60 million, Ghana as a country will be thankful to him. But I cannot influence the judgment that the judge has passed, which is final.
Interesting. So your general impression of what this means, even for the entire process of the banking sector cleanup, and the kind of signal it sends into the financial space about how things are done, what the impact of this sentencing is.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good for the banking sector because see in Ghana, everybody takes the country for granted. On the admitted facts, if you take money that's made available to a bank for use to turn the bank around, if individuals can carry it in jute bags and whatever, and that tallies with, all the reforms that a body called the Bank of Ghana did in the banking sector, including all the non-financial bank institutions. You know what? People are living, all the people. There were all kinds of attempts or whatever. Ghana, we were in the present crisis we are because the government bailed all these people out. But the owners of these businesses, they are living flamboyant lifestyle. Now, SN is talking about properties outside Ghana. Whose money did he use to buy those properties? It does not apply to SN alone. It applies to the whole banking sector, all the people who took all our monies. And you know what? Come on, what has happened? SN is just one. I heard the Deputy Attorney General talking about 5 others. What about all the non-banking financial institutions, the loans and saving companies, all the money that they took? And the Ghana government has paid each one of the investors. So how do we retrieve that money? If these people like Asian have properties outside and inside Ghana, they have invested these monies in things, and everybody has turned a blind eye to what's going on. So it's about how the Attorney General can revamp the prosecution if the whole idea is to ensure either that we are getting the monies which these people took, or the corporates must follow and of their conduct. That's the way to run a country. That's the way to run it. That's my view of this matter.
Now, let's stay within the legal space, but move on to another matter, which has to do with the OSP's request for the Chief Justice to recuse and remove His Lordship Justice Eduward Twun from all cases involving the OSP pending before him. Now, the request is grounded on the OSP's belief that Justice Eduward Twun appears to be highly prejudiced against the OSP and the person of the Special Prosecutor. Consequently, as it stands, the OSP will not and cannot be reasonably expected to be parties to proceedings before the said judge. And I know that you had thoughts to share on this earlier, but let's start off this way. The OSP is concerned about this particular judge. First off, this petition that the OSP has sent to the Chief Justice, would you call it normal procedure? Has the OSP, jumped certain steps, or it's within his rights to go straight to the Chief Justice to ask for this judge to be recused?
I'm totally unimpressed and embarrassed by what the OSP has done, for the reason that if you go a case before a judge need not be friend to anybody, need not be friendly to anybody. A judge can be whatever he wants to be, as law is that it is ability to dispense justice without fear or favor.
Too bad. Lawyer Pento's line is breaking again. We had a bit of a stable connection with him. I don't know what's causing the break now, but we will try and establish a better line. But what we're discussing now, we've moved on from the Ato Asian case to the OSP petitioning the Chief Justice for the removal of Justice Eduward Twun from all cases involving the OSP pending before him. That also appears to be a challenge from some other legal people I've heard from. The question is whether it is even proper for one judge to have so many cases involving one particular party before him. Hopefully we'll be able to raise Lawyer Pento for his thoughts on that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that particular matter, but we know that there has been an ensuing case between the OSP and Madame Cecilia Dapaah. That judge is sitting on that particular case. I'm told Lawyer Pento is back. Sorry, lawyer. You were saying that you were unimpressed about the decision of the OSP.
Yes. Because the first point of action, tell him exactly, you know what, it just a case of prejudice or bias against a judge is a very serious one. I mean, and it must not be made lightly. It must be supported with evidence, hard evidence, concrete evidence, allegations of facts supported, particulars of those facts. Then you bring it before that very judge, because there are two parties before that judge. And you give the opportunity to the other party also to respond to the allegation. Obviously, the judge himself cannot, speak in his own whatever. But there are two parties before the court. So the idea is for the two parties to speak to it. I'm giving you an example of what transpired about 2 weeks in America. You remember that Trump and his people, his lawyers, they looked what do you call it? A recuse application against the judge who is sitting on one of his cases, Judge Chuckton or so, that black lady, if you remember, judge. They went before her and she threw out the application because, see, we are guiding everything that we do. So the mere fact that you come up and claim the judge is biased against you, it's not evidence of your allegation. So that is the first point of, my view, that's the first issue.
Hello, Lawyer Pento. Hello, Lawyer Pento.
Hello.
Yes, sorry we lost you. I'm really sorry about.
A complaint. This is poor service. So we'll talk about one problem. Next time, let us talk about how these telecom services, companies are treating us as Ghanaians. But to go back to my point, that's the first point. In the second point, can you hear me?
I can.
Hello?
I can absolutely hear you, sir.
The second point is that, you're very right, if you come before a judge, judges make decisions based on the facts before them, the evidence before them, as well as the law, how the law applies to the facts and the evidence. So that a judge is founded on the element. Therefore, if a judge makes all
I'm extremely sorry about the quality of our lines this morning. As you heard Lawyer Pento suggest, it's a problem whenever it rains. It's quite rainy in some parts of Accra this morning, and as you know the norm, the lines go bad, the internet drops, and so we're having a challenge with that line. We'll try and raise him on the phone line. Hopefully that will be better. But that was lawyer Kweku Pencil. Earlier you heard him talk about the case involving Mr. Atta Asian. He's been handed a 15-year sentence. I'm told lawyer Pencil is on phone now. I'm so sorry we have to go through this, lawyer Pencil. But you were concluding on your second point about the OSP's decision to petition the Chief Justice for His Lordship Justice Eduward Twun to be removed from all cases involving the OSP pending before him.
Yes. So the second point, as I said, was that if you believe that a judge is giving a decision which is not in accordance with law and laid down principles of law, you lodge an appeal against his decision, and it goes on appeal, and you got 3 judges or the 3 wise men who have an opportunity to take a decision whether they agree with the judge, they don't agree with the judge. So like I said, a judge did not be friendly to you. A judge did not make concessions to you. The fact that a judge has ruled once against you does not mean that he's obliged to grant you. It's not that kind of game. A judge on the basis of the law can decide to remove, and what do you call it, dismiss as many applications as he finds improper. And if you disagree with him, that is not a reason to say he's biased. No, that's not the law. But to comment about the petition to the Chief Justice, my problem with the petition to Chief Justice essential, which is my third point, is that the Chief Justice performs an administrative duty. Administrative duty only. He does not sit as a judge over issues of transfer of cases from one judge to the other judge. It's administrative duty that the Chief Justice has got, and what it means is that if you've got reason to believe, any sufficient reason that requires that a matter must be moved, maybe the judge is sick, maybe the judge is on leave, maybe, and those are the administrative things. That you go to the Chief Justice and require or plead with the Chief Justice that you should take this case to this court, or not to this court, like you should transfer the case to another court so that for the expeditious hearing and so forth and so on. But you know, when you take an application of this nature, a petition of this nature to the Chief Justice, you are essentially inviting the Chief Justice to what you call exercise a judicial function, which is unfortunate. Because what must he do? You mean the Chief Justice to call the judge, to question the judge, or should, what is the Chief Justice supposed to do in a matter that affects the delivery of justice by a judge who is sitting? And that's the embarrassing part that I'm talking about. So even though the Chief Justice has got power and authority to transfer cases from one judge to the other, my point is, it is not for purposes of determining the conduct of the judge who sat over the matter. Now what's going to happen is that if the Chief Justice accedes to that request and the matter gets transferred to another judge, what's then going to happen? Then the judge is going to look over his shoulder? Or what are we talking about? You know, so some of the things that we do, even though we all aim and intend to reach what they call certain purposes for justice and so forth and so on, I think that the way that the OSP is carrying on, and even to the extent that you say all the cases, how can it be? Some of the cases are put for purposes, let me tell you what, for purposes of ensuring a consistency. Cases of like nature are normally put before as one judge. The idea is
answering that question, because I was just going to ask if that could also be one of the reasons why the OSP is raising concerns.
But like I'm saying, if that judge, one judge decides to dismiss all cases you bring before him on the basis of the law, you appeal. Because you always have an opportunity to appeal against any decision of a court. You don't gauge a judge's attitude to your cases and on that basis classify that attitude as biased when you don't have the facts and the evidence to support it. Because that is letter that he puts out. There's no iota, there's no atom, there is nothing about fact or evidence in support of that allegation. So it remains a bare allegation. But the point I'm making is that when a case is before a judge, I mean, administratively, cases of like nature are normally placed before one judge, either administratively or by the parties in what we call consolidation. In other words, if you've got cases of like nature, which are pending in different courts, the danger is that different judges, they come to different conclusions on the same or similar facts. And to avoid that kind of administration of justice, it is usually, of good listening that all those matters of like nature, will be placed before one judge. It is the norm in the judicial service. And where it is not done administratively, the lawyers involved in that case will normally apply for the suit to be consolidated. So therefore, I wouldn't know if he wants to make that bandwagon movement from one judge, then all of them will go to another judge, or he's saying that the cases will be split before different judges. That one is related to administration of justice, which may affect the justice in the case at the end of it. But I've told you my view about what the OSP has done, which is he should have gone to that judge, or he should have appealed. Invoking the power of the Chief Justice in this kind of circumstances, in my view, is unfortunate. That's my view.
There's an option, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
And so, I mean, I get your point about, you know, he could have gone to the judge, but obviously this is somebody he thinks is biased towards him, and so...
But let me tell you something. One basic rule, what we call the rules of natural justice, there are two. The first one, or the one of them, is the nemo juris in consensual principle, which is no judge must be a judge, no man must be a judge in his own court. The twin of that principle is what we call the odi autem partem rule of natural justice, which means that give the party a hearing. So if you claim that a judge is being unfair to you, and you cannot go before that judge and tell him to his face that he's being unfair to you, and you have the evidence to prove that unfairness or bias, then you yourself, you're not being fair to the judge. That's the first rule. They say that God even did not condemn Adam before, without giving him a hearing. So that's why we call natural justice. That rule of evidence, that rule is one that is basic. That before you condemn me to somebody, give me an opportunity to respond. And that's why he owed the judge a duty to go and face him fairly. I never saw any judge who picked the cane and cane any judge in his court, any lawyer in his court. And like I'm saying, come on. That's the way to go about it. You can't say that the judge is so hostile that he cannot even hear you. Go ahead and tell the judge to his face. And we do it. You can't be a lawyer and be a coward, or be a lawyer and not be of bold spirit, or be a lawyer without the ability to confront squarely anybody that you've got a case against, anybody that you think is not dispensing justice in accordance with law. That is the oath we take as lawyers. That is the oath judges themselves take to dispense justice. So it complements one another. So that is my view on the subject. And I say he has not been fair to the judge by doing what he did.
So much, Lawyer Paintel. I appreciate your time here on the AM show. That's Lawyer Kweku Paintel sharing his thoughts with us on the OSP's petition to the Chief Justice for His Lordship Justice Eduward Twun to be removed from all cases involving the OSP pending before him. The OSP believes that Justice Eduward Twun appears to be highly prejudiced against the OSP, that's the office of the Special Prosecutor and the person of the Special Prosecutor. Much earlier, we touched on the Ato Asian case. You're watching the AM show. We've got a lot more for you, including the NSMQ. This morning's quiz will be featuring St. Augustine's College, St. Peter's SHS, and Ibri Girls. Do stay for that. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. And I told you about the NSMQ 23 and the interesting contest coming up later this morning. In fact, in about a few minutes. And I am so excited to be joined by one of our sponsors who make it possible for us to bring you the quiz. Eric Chumberima is the marketing coordinator of Syntex Tank. Marketing
coordinator, Ebenezer Chumberima.
Yes, Ebenezer Chumberima, yes, is marketing coordinator of Syntex Tank. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And thank you so much, Syntex Tank. You do so much for us. We're grateful.
Yes.
But why NSMQ?
Okay, National Science and Math Quiz is a program that is widely watched by a lot of people. It's mostly a time where family, boys, girls try to reflect on the alma mater, just try to support our alma mater. So it just gives us some reflective vibe, So we have realized that a lot of people actually watch it, and then we have been fans, Syntax Tank has been fans of this particular show for a very long time. So this time we decided to come on board to be sponsors, so we have the opportunity to enhance our brand visibility.
Right.
And then also try to tell your audience or the viewers what Syntax Tank has to offer them. We have a wide range of products that we can give them. So it's an opportunity to let them know what Syntax Tank is all about, yes.
Right, so what's Syntax Tank all about?
Okay, Syntax Tank is a leading manufacturer of plastics in Ghana. And then we have been in Ghana over 25 years now, providing solutions to all water storage needs. So when you talk about Syntax Tank, we have a variety of products. We have the SLT, which means the Syntax lockable tanks. We have the SCT, that's the Syntax cylindrical tanks. We have SHT, that's the Syntax horizontal tank. And then we have SGT, Syntax pure gallon tanks. And then we have other products as well. We have other plastics we produce or we're dealing. We have the wheel bins, we have the courier boxes, utility drums, pallets, cones, and a whole lot actually. So Syntax Tank does not only deal in the tanks, we have other products as well.
And the courier boxes will help students, right?
No, that's for the box,
that's for
the motor
delivery
riders.
guys.
Yes,
yeah, I've seen it, but I mean, if you're a student who wants a portable way to pack
sure.
your stuff, you can also use that. It's a utility box,
exactly.
So you can use it anyway.
Use it well.
But you have been here for a very long time, like you just mentioned.
Yes.
But you're also doing something interesting for clients, right?
Yes, for definitely.
Specification, tailor-made tanks.
Yeah, so we
according to your specifications. Tell us about that.
Yes, so we have introduced a customer spec order, where our clients, our cherished clients, have the opportunity to choose whichever color you want, to choose any number of layers you want, and then we can also customize your name or your company logo on the tanks as well. Yes, so we have also introduced that, which makes it like considering the clients, their specifications, whatever they want, we are there to make it for you as well.
That's fantastic. So if you're watching us and you want a certain size of tank, certain layers, a certain color, and you want your company's logo embossed, then it's Syntax Tank is the place to go. But let me put you on the spot, Ebenezer. Is your school in the NSMQ?
Unfortunately, yes, we are at this college.
And
then I don't know what's happening this year. It's very unfortunate. And then
I went to Infantaman Girls, and we didn't go this year. So I was hoping that our boys' school could do
exactly.
The magic
And then I don't know. This year, only child was out. I don't know what's happening to my central region schools. But it's all good.
No. At this point, it's not good at
very
all.
true. I was surprised.
You're going to start now from the regionals, and you need to prove yourself to get to the prelims.
And then we didn't
I think
get
it's
there.
going to be the first time that's going to
happen. Yes.
You're always a seeded.
Exactly. So it's, I don't know.
Okay, so which school are you supporting now? Since
I don't want to support any other school. Alisada all the way. And then my people have actually laughed at me. You know what I mean? So
I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. It's okay. It's okay.
I have seen the tweet about Adesoda being the reason why Ghanaians don't respect zebra crossings. I mean, that was harsh. That was harsh. But I'm sorry, it happens with NSMQ.
I understand.
When your school loses, you suffer the trolling
exactly. I understand.
and all that.
If you are laughing at us, I don't want to go to the rivalry. We used to have the bouquet, all of that. Bouquet is a funeral cloth, what I mean? I just don't want to go there. So it's okay, it's fine.
Oh, too bad, Ebenezer. Sorry about that. But I mean, hopefully you can come back next year.
Sure, definitely. Coming back stronger, yes.
Right. Ebenezer Twun is with Syntax Tank. He's the marketing coordinator, and they help us bring you the live coverage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. And he's just been telling us about the wonderful products they have on offer for you, even beyond what you know to be the tanks, right? They have other things. So how do we reach you? How do people, do you have websites? Can they see more of what you do? Just let us know.
Exactly. So before I continue, I just want the viewers to know Syntax Tank is everywhere. And then we have over 300 agents across the country.
Great.
So you call us or you WhatsApp us, you tell us your location, then you give you an agent very close to you, stress-free, so it will be very easy for you to get our product. So you call us or WhatsApp us on 0244 33 5168. 0244 335168. And you can follow us on our socials at Syntex Ghana.
Syntex Ghana.
Yes, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at Syntex Ghana. And then you can also visit our beautiful website at www.syntexgh.com. Yeah.
Right.
So these are our contact details, yes.
Fantastic. So you can give them a call wherever you are across the country. Help Syntex Tank so they can help us bring you the NSMQ every year. We're so excited about the NSMQ, and I told you about the contest this morning, coming up in a few minutes between St. Augustine's College, Abri Girls Senior High School, and St. Peter's SHS. You don't want to miss that. Do stay for more. We're still talking education here. This time I've been joined by members of the EduProof Ghana team, and Janet Duchumwa is head of applications, and David Adun is an admission counselor. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you. Higher education in Canada through STEM innovation. I like that on your shirt. But do you want to start, Duchumwa? Tell us what EduProof Ghana is all about.
Okay, so EduProof Ghana basically is a student consultancy services platform. So basically we connect students with study abroad opportunities. We assist students to study, migrate, and then work whilst they're studying. And we are headquartered in Canada. So currently our main headquarters is located in Ontario, Canada, and then we are running the Ghana branch here.
So you are a counselor, right? Yes. So imagine I'm a student.
Yeah.
Why Canada?
Right, good. So, I mean, basically we have countless applications coming through our front desk, and then we feel, you know, looking at the contemporary, you know, situation and interest of most students. I mean, they come in with the, you know, with the hope that they probably want to go to a country where they can probably school, work, and then migrate, you know. So Canada is an ideal country for that, and we feel it's worth money spent. You know, we have countries like the US and other countries where we equally do them, but I mean, countries like Australia and Canada, it's ideal for most students to probably, you know, support themselves while they're schooling, and then their migration possibility is very, very high. You know, in times of difficulties like this, people would like to probably look into more efficient or means of studying, whilst they equally get some moderate and low fees as well.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to add something, Duchumwa? Why Canada?
Oh yeah, Canada, because Canada has opened their borders for international students, and we can see now that because of their skills shortage, right, of professionals, they are passing through the routes of education to bring people into Canada. So yes, Canada, because Canada is easy to get your PR when you're done, and it's easy to settle after school.
Okay, so now let's talk money here. Yeah. So you are the counselor. Yeah. If I walked into your offices, before I speak to you, do I need to make any payment? What do I need to do?
Yeah, great. So I mean, basically, it means that if you walk into our office, it's called a counseling or eligibility assessment. It's very important we know what you need. I mean, it doesn't cost a thing. Mm-hmm. You know what you need, why, who is sponsoring you. I mean, who is your parent? Are they aware? Mm-hmm. You know, if you are a worker, we just need to assess you with you know, visa eligibility, program eligibility, province eligibility. Why do you want to go to Canada? Exactly. Then afterwards, we are able to determine whether you are eligible to apply or not. If not Canada, then we may have to look into the US, Netherlands, Belgium.
So I don't pay for that service?
It's free.
Fantastic. So you know what? For those of you who just finished high school, right, you're thinking about all the opportunities. There, you know, there's a saying in Akan that so while you're looking for what is on offer locally, you may just want to extend your search and visit EduProof Ghana. While they will counsel you and consider your eligibility, you would also be telling us about the many offerings that are available in Canada. But beyond that, you spoke about whether you have what we need in terms of documentations? What are the kind of things that we need to even access this service that EduProof has?
Great. So basically, it depends on the level of education that the person currently has. So for an undergrad program or somebody who is yet to pursue an undergrad program, we basically need just your WASI certificate, your transcript, and then your passport. Then from there, we process your application. But then for somebody that wants to pursue a postgraduate program, then we would actually need your diploma certificates or your diploma transcripts, your degree, and then we also need your CV and your passport. So those are the basic documents that we need for application.
Fantastic. I've seen something in front of you.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in that because a lot of Ghanaian students really, a lot of us can't afford.
Yeah.
So the concept of scholarships makes a lot of sense to us. I've seen up to $60,000 scholarship for undergrad students.
Great.
That's interesting. Tell us more about it.
Right. So, I mean, basically, EduProof, you know, we have sole partnership and also arrangement with a number of universities in Canada. We represent a number of universities in Africa, actually. So we kind of give the room for other international students, or not only in Ghana, maybe in Kenya, in Rwanda, in Congo, and Uganda. We have other, you know, agencies that are working with us. So what we do is that we have Laurentian University as one of our major African partners, and then what we do is we recruit for such universities. They have an amazing scholarship, trust me. And what happened is one of the best scholarships in Canada is with Laurentian University. It's a bilingual, you know, status university in Sudbury in Ontario. So it's quite easier to get job, and it's quite easier to probably, you know, work, and then also find it very intriguing as an international student to know that you have something or you have a skill set that probably makes you valuable in the job market. So we try to, you know, beat down the price. So starting this year, we try to come up with a squad. It started last year, actually. So we give it international students from Ghana in any other part of Africa or the world to patronize Laurentian University. If you have good grades, you just apply. And you just have to pay your application fee. It's just $140. You know, you just pay to the school. So you decide whether you pay such an amount of money to us, so we pay on your behalf, or you ask us to send you a link, or probably come to our office.
And then you do it directly.
Come with your card, or just pay and everything.
Yeah, transparency is important here. And so what courses are on offer at this university, the Laurentian?
Great. So they have biology. They have all the undergrad programs.
Okay, so they do the sciences.
They do the sciences,
hard sciences, pure sciences, and social sciences.
Engineering.
Right.
I mean, Sudbury is where Laurentian University is situated in North Territories of Ontario. And Sudbury is known for mining. It's the mining hub of actually in Canada and even America as a whole. So what happened is that mining is more ideal. I mean, we're looking to more of engineering students who could apply with scholarship. We have health programs, we have biology as well, and we have arts programs as well. So those who really are interested in programs like health promotion, it's one of the competitive programs that Laurentian University has that we could also assist them with.
That's fantastic. And your numbers are on the screen. I'm sure that's why people are calling. And for those who want to visit your offices, where are you located? If they want to come in person, where can they find you?
Right. So we are located at East Legon. We are around 09 New Street, around the Civil Row. I mean, there's a building around East Legon. If you get to American House, it's not far from there. Okay. So immediately get to American House, or you could call our line, but it's around East Legon, Civil Row. You can locate us there.
All right. Now, you were talking about working and schooling, right? Do all the universities allow for that? I'm asking this because some universities would give international students the opportunity to even work in the university, so their job offerings in the university, so you can be like a library assistant or something like that, or you can choose to work outside. Exactly. But I'm talking about the universities offering, you know, even within the university space, what are the opportunities for work? For undergrad and postgraduate students in Canada?
So I think for work, most Canada, they give out what we call the study permit. So other students or other universities or countries give out the visas. But Canada gives out the study permit. Study permit actually counts with minimum working hours, like 20 hours, where a student could work and support him or herself while schooling. And as at last year, those who entered Canada as at last year, November, October, thereabout, they could actually work on limited hours. But now, you can only work like 20 hours in Canada. So, I mean, it's a way of supporting you as a student to equally pay for some of your bills, like your rent and your basic and miscellaneous fees as well. I mean, you're giving room for that. So you could, patronize and also be able to school in Canada comfortably, actually.
I like that. So, Eduproof, we start with you. Where does your work end? Do you still keep in touch with the students while they're away, checking up on them? Sometimes, they talk about scholarships, sometimes they tell the disbursement is not... Like, do you track the progress of students? Just tell us how long your process with the students starts and ends.
Okay, so, I mean, yeah, we try to... We have something we call departure counseling. So what happens is after you come to our office, we do the counseling session for you. I mean, we know from day one whether you get a visa or not. I mean, it's not a place to tell, but based on counseling, you should tell that, hey, because the interview and visa, there's no point or there's no room for interviews or going for interview for the visa. It's quite straightforward. So such countries that there's no need for you to go for interviews, I mean, you could tell from documentation, when the person has what it means or takes to get a visa. I mean, we could tell from there. So, I mean, yeah, we try to, encourage them, and afterwards, when the visa is due and you get to Canada, since we are like a very, international company, we have another space or an office in Canada. Should you have challenge, should you be troubled with accommodation or what have you, you could just reach out to us, we direct you there. If you still want to be in contact with us, we try as much as possible to assist you with accommodation and other means of staying there.
Right. So I know you have a lot of questions to ask Janet and David. We have put up their numbers on the screen. Their offices are located in East Legon, but I'm sure we can find you with a simple Google search, right?
Yes.
Eduproof Ghana. Reach out to the team. They've got fantastic offers for you, especially those of you who want to school in Canada and Australia. They do other countries as well. So you can pay them a visit, find out what they have to offer, and then you can get yourself some good education. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so
Janet
much.
Edichuma is Head of Applications at Eduproof Ghana, and David Adam is Admission Counselor. Thank you so much for joining me on this particular conversation. We'll take a quick breather now, and when we come back, we will be bringing you that contest between St. Augustine's College, Ebri Girls SHS, and St. Peter's SHS. Let me just put you on the spot. Is your school in the NSMQ?
Yes.
Which school is
Wesley Girls
Hey,
High School.
And your school?
No, it's not.
Not. But which school are you supporting?
Ebenezer. I actually went to Ebenezer.
Ebenezer Presby. Okay, but which school are you supporting in this contest? St. Augustine's? Ebri Girls. You're supporting Ebri Girls.
Because I do a lot of support for them.
Okay, that's nice. But I won't ask you because your school is still in the competition. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And we will be bringing you that contest right away. So for all those of you who are lovers of the NSMQ, you just want to stay with us. But let me just say a very happy, blessed birthday in advance to Auntie Peace of Medina New Road. You will be 85 this Sunday. Happy birthday to you. And may this new age bring along God's continuous blessings and grace. This is from your children and grandchildren, Isaac, Abraham, and the entire family. We'll take a quick breather now. When we come back, we bring you NSMQ. Do stay.